Welcome everyone to the Upsurge Premier League, week number 3. I am your play-by-play caster tonight, Sam Hyde, and I'm joined by the lovely Matthew Cubby Samuelson as my color caster. And yeah, we've got a pretty fun matchup tonight, Cubby.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We've got Maryville B versus Rovex's Simps, aka Columbia College. The rivalry that goes so far back in collegiate. Smacks and I even repping it on the cams. We've got the light side in Maryville and the dark side in Columbia. Maybe it's the other way around, but the light side always wins. So gonna have to see if Maryville can keep on doing that again tonight. It is their B team, but this team is not to be feared. Have already been taking names in UPL, not to mention in HughFest as well, where they actually made the finals to play against Maryville A.
Right.
So gonna have to see if they can bring it to the table again tonight.
Yeah, these two collegiate teams. Of course, one of them has changed names to Rovex's Simps, so perhaps not going to be attempting to be tied to Columbia College for tonight. We're just going to refer to them as Rovex's Simps for the rest of it.
They're just tied to Rovex.
But yeah, just Rovex, just Rovex. Ooh, what have we got here? Oh, wow.
All
Was
right.
that on the stream, Hyper? That was pretty good. That was pretty good. We got the hearts going on for Rovex. Okay, it's not quite February. We're still a long distance away from that one, but still, you got some time to show some love to your team captain there. I'm sure Rovex is
You
feeling
know
it
what,
tonight.
Smacks? I moved further away from you. We're still trying to make this long distance thing work. Don't tell your wife. It's all good. It's just a casting duo, nothing else.
All right. I don't think she noticed yet. She's just over
Okay.
there.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're all good
Good.
for now.
Good.
But
Okay.
but yeah, we got a fun series tonight.
No
Of
one
course,
tell
it
me
is that
Smacks.
collegiate rematch. They did play in the Harrisburg Esports Invitational just about a month ago too, and they only played that best of one. They did not meet in the playoffs, but in their group they did have that matchup. And Columbia College, or Rovex's Simps as they're referred to tonight, they won that best of one, Cubby.
Yeah, I mean, this is a rivalry that goes way back in collegiate. Kind of fun to get to cast this one, knowing the history of it. Before Zoo was even a coach, it used to be Sojin versus Drake, and Drake was really known for talking trash. Columbia College, probably the second university that came along after Maryville. RMU was all in, then Maryville went all in, and then Columbia College really went all in and started putting together some really good teams that actually included Evan Arrell at one point as well, who's going to be on the other side of the rift today. But
Yeah.
these guys have game. And we're going to have to see if they can bring it once again. As you mentioned, that was a best of one. We're in a best of 3 tonight. And I really hope both these teams do bring it to the table. As now a collegiate coach myself as well, get some good scouting in to see how good these guys really are. And these are 2 of the best teams that collegiate has to offer. Yes, it's Maryville's B roster, but these guys can play with and against anyone and take them on the day. So you have to see that's the case again here.
Oh, absolutely. And both of these teams are 2-0 coming into this matchup as well, still undefeated. One of them will remain so by the end of tonight, and the other one will be 2-1. But of course, they do have another matchup at the tail end of the regular season to look forward to. Whoever does lose that one has a chance for revenge. But Cubby, if it is the light side, as you're mentioning, I'm thinking that Columbia College, being that dark side, the dark side always wins in episode 2, or the movie number 2.
But
There's
they won
always
in
that
episode
twist,
1.
Ooh,
I don't know what kind of
they did win
timeline we're
episode
in,
1.
but we're going to have to see.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what what will happen tonight. Of course, we haven't read the script quite yet, but we have read, Cubby. It's the stock portfolios for tonight.
Ooh.
And boy, oh boy, have those shaken up. I still believe that I am trailing in last, but looking at these teams, maybe that's not true because I'm all in on Zenith. So
I
it
had
looks
a
like
tough
they're
week.
doing just fine.
I had a tough week. Noble dropped last week. I think I had a lot of their stock. It was not good for me. The stonks usually only go up, but my stonks went down. As you can see,
Mm,
Maryville, top 2 stocks that we have at the moment. They're pretty
yeah.
good.
Not too surprising. If you were in the Twitch chat for HughFest 2020, of course, those 2 teams were the finalists, and it was a close series at that, 2-1. So,
Yeah.
very excited to have Maryville be back on the stream.
And speaking of them too, Harrisburg making a climb as well with their big win last
Right.
week. Same with Illinois State as well, who really have a dynamite roster. coming on into collegiate. It's going to be really fun between them and Illinois Wesleyan. If you guys don't know, those colleges are actually right across the street from each other in the same town. If you go visit that town, you have to go to Avanti's and get gondolas. If anyone is in the chat from that area, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's the best sub that we have to offer here in Illinois. But it's going to be a really fun rivalry actually between those two teams throughout the season. Already exploring it out here as we see some more prizes and smacks. These stonks are the ones that are they're dipping a little bit today.
They absolutely are dipping. Some of them going below 500. Looks like we got 5 teams dipping below that benchmark. And yeah, all these guys, well, some of them are staying about the same, but those dips are definitely being felt here. I know that you previously had some A New Dawn stocks on your portfolio, Cubby. So
I did.
yeah.
But I
Did you
sold
ditch
them.
those before these
I
these
did.
losses? Okay.
I'm going week to week. I checked the schedule.
Gotcha.
Like we're in the pre-show, going over some stuff beforehand. Smacks was like, "Hey, look at my cat." And I was like, "Hey, I need to fix my stock because I'm worried about money." So I changed them up. We'll reveal what I did a little bit later. But hopefully we're gonna get some stock prices, and we might just see what happens on stream to my stocks. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, got different priorities there. I, of course, have my
I mean, the
cat,
cat's
and
cute.
he is very cute. He is
Yeah,
so cute. He
it's
ate
big time.
all of his food in one go today. But anyway,
Really,
that's enough of my cat. Yeah, he was very hungry apparently. But
that's exciting.
yeah, you know what else exciting, Cubby, is this matchup that we've got tonight: Maryville B versus Rovex's
What a
Simps.
transition!
And oh yeah, absolutely.
Big
I'm pretty
Smurf.
killer at those. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no matchup in this series that exemplifies this more than the bot laners, Kobe. I want to dive into these just for a little bit, as we've got some really big names in the bot lane for this series, especially if you were looking back on the summer of scouting grounds.
Yeah. And so in this bot lane for Maryville B, you guys probably saw the lane of Evan RL versus Clydebot. That lane is actually going to be Evan RL and Julian, who is the support for Polarace throughout SGC as well. Julian was actually drafted in SGC as a mid laner, but he has role swapped
Yeah.
to support, taking on that new role and is really starting to up his play. I think in SGC, we saw him getting better and better, but he was kind of overshadowed by Otto, who's also role swapping. But I feel like Julian's really starting to find his pace and maybe landing with Evan RL and the wealth of experience he brings to the table. Maybe that's really helping him out as well.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see these Titans clash. Because, of course, on the other side, there is Andy Bendy, the bot laner previously for
Yes.
Radiance, and they got 5th in the top 8 as a whole, too. Of course, Evan RL sitting pretty at 4th, just above them, but still very competitive bot laners. And I'm sure there's probably going to be at least a slide or two about that in our weekly game show here at Upsurge Premier League. Upsurge or Downsurge. We're going to take a look at those slides. I believe we have 4 of them today. Cubby and I have not seen them at all, but
Okay.
now we've seen one. Cubby, take it away.
Okay. Option 1, more surprising outcome. We have Illinois State storming through Cloud Division or TL upset G2. World spoilers, if you guys didn't watch Worlds today.
Whoops.
You had time. I guess the real fans catch up. Oh, man. I got to say, I've been looking forward to play this game. We don't know what's coming. That's a great Photoshop on top. But I have to say, I'm more surprised with I'm more surprised about the TL upset because honestly, that IC roster is pretty good. Like, they're going through Mirage though. That's the tough one.
Right. Now, Mirage has changed up their roster just a little bit, Cubby. I don't
They
know if you
have.
noticed, but Tony Top, Asilian, Mist, they are no longer on that roster.
I thought Asilium
So
was still on there.
I do not believe so.
Oh,
I do
okay.
believe that he has also vacated the premises.
Okay,
But
yeah, the TL upset is way worse for me. Speaking of vacating the
yeah.
premises, they should really vacate the premises in that top one. That's from Godzilla. I'm getting in my ear. Do not want to be in that picture. I'm getting away from that. I'm going down though. Going down, Surge.
Yeah. I think I'm also going to go with Downsurge because personally, I had quite a bit of faith in ISU going into this series. I
Yeah,
believe I had 1 stock of theirs.
I had no faith in NA.
Yeah, I had
Yeah.
no faith in NA either.
Yeah, that's way more surprising. All right.
I based on my world's pick'ems, who I absolutely did on a whim, just hoping that NA would do something. Because if they didn't, I didn't want to be the one to, not have faith in them. But
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, at this point, I
There's a
mean, they only
COG
have
fan
2
in you
wins.
somewhere, is what you're saying.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. But I'm going down Surge as well. Team Liquid beating G2 is crazy, especially considering just last year when they got 3-0'd at MSI finals. Glad to see they can bounce back.
Yeah. In the shortest best of 5 that we've seen in the international tournament as well. All
Yeah,
right. What
forgot
what
to
do we have
mention that.
next? Smacks, talk us through this next one.
All right, so we got this next slide. We have the bigger rivalry. It is Maryville versus Columbia College, or Maryville B versus Rovex's Simps. Well, I mean, we were already touching on this one
Yeah.
just a little bit, Cubby. The collegiate rivalry. You've already talked about it a lot, so at least there's something going on here.
I've got to go with Upsurge. I think that the Downsurge is fun because obviously Evan RL used to play for Columbia and all that stuff, but just the Upsurge, the old rivalry with like Sojin, and if you guys were involved in collegiate while Coach Drake was a thing, that was just an entire whirlwind. We had like a personal vendetta to beat Columbia just because that guy talked so much trash and his team was just got their butts kicked by Maryville every single time. So I'm gonna go Upsurge. That's big rivalry.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I haven't been around the collegiate scene nearly as long as
Ooh.
you, but I'll definitely go with you for this one. I'm gonna go Upsurge too. Although I am quite excited for this Maryville B versus Rovex Simps. I do think that the the backstory of everything isn't quite there yet for Maryville B versus Rovex Sims. They've only played the one game, so they've got time to build it back up, and maybe then it can be a little bit more competitive here. But
If they take this best of 3, could be a serious rivalry they have on our hands, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but we're gonna
They
have to
they've
see.
got this one and another one in about 3 weeks, so they've got
Ooh,
time. They've got time to build up this rivalry too. But I'll go with you for right now. Uh, we'll see what happens in the future. But Upsurge for me too.
okay.
All right. So slide number 3, we've got more essential to their team. We got Andy Bendy
Oh,
or
we got some
Kind
stats.
Jungle.
We got
Ooh,
some
yeah, we got
stats.
some stats here. Lots of numbers on the screen, Cubby.
Woo. Okay, so Andy Bendy, I mean, this is no surprise. I'm surprised this team's Rovex's Simps because, I mean, Radiance was pretty much Andy Bendy's Simps, right? And you got to think with a
True.
player like this in the bot lane, you're going to run that back. I'm going to go with Andy Bendy. I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of this roster, but I know that Kind Jungle is a very strong jungler, but I also know the other players on that team. And I know Evan RL has game. I know that Spirax and Dinka are kind of young to the collegiate space, but they're going to learn really fast under a coach and a staff that Maryville has, including Zoo. I'm going to go with Andy Bendy. I think that this guy is just an absolute beast, a menace in the bot lane. And the fact that he's playing through collegiate really surprising to me because I thought he would have moved up by now. I'm still hoping that that he does get that shot. So I'm going to go with him. And I'm excited to see him go beast mode again tonight.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. I think Andy Bendy is a great choice, but Cubby, I am going to go with Kind Jungle on
Ooh,
Maryville B.
no
And
synergy.
it is specifically today for this matchup because in their previous game and in a lot of the games at the HughFest Invitational, we saw that Frosty Nomad was the benefactor of a lot of resources. He was playing this Hecarim, he
Mhm.
was playing Lilia, these very, very farm heavy junglers. And to me, that feels like the guy who is more inclined to carry. Maybe that is just because of the meta. And I've definitely seen Andy Bendy hard carry his teams in the past. But I think specifically for today, Kind Jungle is going to be more essential here because he is going to need to not get crushed under the weight of Frosty Nomad, who is on these carry champions. I think that Hecarim here in that picture is going to be a hotly contested pick. Both these
Yes.
junglers have shown a lot of proficiency on it. So I think that jungle matchup is really key here as the early game pace setter for this series here. So I'm going to
All right.
disagree with you, Copy. I'm going to go with Kind Jungle, but we
That's
do
fine.
have one last
Yeah.
slide.
As we roll into this last one too, Smacks, I don't know if you realize this, we're actually even on upsurges and downsurges total because we
Oh,
both went down at the start and we both went up and then we split. So we're gonna
hmm
have to see if we split again here. We got the last one. Oh boy.
okay. Wow. Okay. So this is
This
this
might
is
this might
smarter
start a war.
pets.
This
Yeah,
might
this
drive
is
us
this is
apart.
smarter pets. This isn't just pets overall. So we
Oh,
do have to keep that in mind.
smarter.
Yeah, they're
Oh, this
smarter.
is bad.
Um, See,
Oh.
Cubby, I think that uh I think that Pat Cat, my little kitty, my kitten, he's 5 months old. I think he could win Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Probably. if he could speak English, or if they could translate for him,
Okay.
get into English some way. I think that Patroclus is probably the smartest being in the universe, but we just haven't translated his thoughts quite yet. So I'm gonna go Upsurge.
So I have a 12-year-old dog, Sammy, and
Mhm.
she's not smart. She's just not smart at all. She's driven a lot by food. She napped in her crate until 4 p.m. today. She's really just struggling, just falling upon tough times. Um, I gotta go, cats. I'm sorry, Sam, but I've seen a lot of dogs. I've not seen a lot of smart dogs. I've seen a lot of cats that ignore people. And hey, during COVID, that might be the smart thing to do.
That is
We're
that
gonna go
is the
cats.
smart thing to do. Yeah. All right. Well, we're no longer even anymore here, but I'm definitely proud of
Upsurge
my
wins.
little kitty. Yeah. I think Patroclus is gonna rule the world someday. But before
You did
then,
give him a
we
conqueror's
do
name or an
have
emperor's name.
true, true.
Patroclus, yeah.
But before then, we do have a quick little video of Patroclus, which I'm very excited to present, as he has predicted the results of the match today to show just how smart he is.
Oh,
And yeah, he's definitely big brain out here. So Hyper, if we could roll the clip of Patroclus, the smartest kitty in the world. All right, Pat Cat. We got two balls here. This one's for Maryville B. This one's for Rovex's Simps, okay? Whichever one you pick, that team wins. You understand? He gets it. He's a smart cat. All right, here we go. And go. Oh, wow. He dove for the orange one. Then went straight for green. It's going to be a close fight. I'm thinking reverse sweep. Thank you, Pat Cat. Yeah. I mean, you saw it there. That was a pretty big
he
diversion he threw out
he did
there.
like the discount double check. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm going orange. Wait, I'm going green.
Yeah, he
Going green.
he actually juked me out. I was fully prepared for him to predict Maryville, but he went for Rovex's Simps, and like you saw, he predicted a full reverse sweep, Rovex Simps 2-1. So
Wow.
that's a pretty precise prediction from Pat Cat.
I have to say, so we're gonna give Sammy some screen time. She's kind of a diva. We're gonna see how smart she is, and we're gonna see if her prediction lines up, if she got something different. And I'm not changing mine based on what Sam says. I'm actually gonna buy stocks based on my dog, because usually
Okay.
I get host gapped all the time, and I don't want to get dog gapped. So I'm just gonna go along with the dog, but see what Sammy has.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so for tonight's prediction, I have no idea what's going on. I called on an expert. Sammy, are you ready to help? Now, I have two treats in my hand. I'm going to put one on each side of the hallway. You can see Sammy really wants them. Sammy, can you sit? All right, now stay. You stay. Okay. As you can tell, she's a very good listener. Now, this treat will be blue side. The treat down here will be red side for game one for the teams. You know what? We're just going to put one on the left and the right. We're going to make that way easier. As you can see, Sammy's a very patient dog. Now, she is blind, which makes things interesting. Okay, Sammy, come. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I don't have them. Now, see, yes, she is blind. Let's shoot. Oh, she is going with the one on the red side, taking that team for the victory. And, oh, wait a minute. Okay, we're taking both teams for the victory. Now, Sammy, do you agree that it's going to be a 2-1 red side favorite team? Whoever gets red side game one. Okay, so Sammy, we've got Rovex's Simps in a 2-1 because, she's got two treats. So we're going to take Rovex's Simps. She went with that one first. They're going to take 2-1, according to Big Sam. As you can tell, she's very intelligent. And I know we have to cut the clip short, but she also gave a handshake at the end. So we know it's very, very specific. Yeah, she gives shakes. Yeah.
That's so cute.
And
That is
she got
adorable.
two treats out of that. And then instead of hanging up here with me, went straight downstairs to her crate to go back to bed. We need to get Sammy a job.
Well, that is absolutely adorable. But Cubby, the biggest thing to note here is that both of our pets predicted a 2-1 for Rovex's Sims. So they are aligned in this, which I think is rather shocking. I think
have
we
pretty
just
big
have
brains.
to predict the same way. I think we just have to at this point, right?
I mean,
You already said
I'm
you were
not
going
going
to.
against my dog. Thing's a
Yeah, I'm
genius.
not going against my cat. I guess we're both predicting. All four of us are gonna have to predict 2-1 for Rovex's Simps. I think that's the only
All
way.
right. Full sends. Andy Bendy, I'm gonna rely on you. We're gonna have the Radiance carry.
Yeah, they may be the Rovex Simps, but we are the Andy Bendy Simps here on the UPL broadcast. Absolutely. So, yeah, and speaking of Andy Bendy, I want to dive into that bot lane yet again here, just real quick, before we get into the draft for these teams, because it's not just the two bot laners. They're not just the two 80 carries that are big names coming into this match. We of course do have Julian on the side of Maryville, but Chow is the support for Rovex Simps, and he had previously been in the bot lane with Evan just earlier this summer.
Yeah, over on Supernova. And quite frankly, I mean, we've seen a lot out of Chow throughout the years. He's a good support player, really solid play. But I really think that when Clydebot came into that team, it unlocked something new with Evan RL. The fact that he actually plays lane very well when the support goes to roam, and Clydebot really like to play roamers. And I feel like
True.
that's the reason that Supernova really took that next step, got to the next level, finished fourth overall in the SGC seedings, and had a really close best of five with the Maryville A team as well. I was very competitive throughout that. We actually got the cast max.
We
So
did.
yeah, that was a series. I feel like we're gonna have to see if Evan Earl, wants to really prove himself here, because obviously paired up with Julian. Julian and Chow were actually teammates as well on Maryville, because he was the mid laner then. So we're gonna have to see if these teammates have something to say to each other. A little bit of rivalry down in that bot lane, and really curious to see how this lane of Andy Benny and Chow ends up working out, because
Right.
these guys have a lot of pedigree coming into that bot lane, and they're able to play up to it. Could be turning that other bot lane into dog or cat food, whatever you prefer. Notice how I squeeze
Right.
pedigree in there too? That's a food brand.
Aha, yes. That's a pretty good one right there.
Well,
But yeah,
it's even better
I'm
when I have to
fully
explain it. That's what makes it really good. I did
well,
not take the first
someone
class
out
of
there
comedy.
probably got it right away. Someone out there definitely, if that
I
was you
just
in the Twitch chat, give us a yip. Um,
I just like to kill my own jokes. That's really the thing here. I missed that first class of comedy where they're like, all right, you establish a premise, then you hit the punchline, and then you explain it, right? No, that's not what you do.
you
You guys
missed
got that
day
right?
3 of the class, you're just assuming.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
stopped going
All right.
early.
Well, anyway, all of that considered here, I do think that this bot lane, the pairing is the biggest thing to watch out for. Even though I did mention that the junglers are definitely like big carries for both of their teams. Of course,
Mhm.
the Hecarim being a very big vessel for that. I do particularly want to watch out for this bot lane because of the pedigree that these, as you mentioned, players did come in with for this series and for UPL as a whole. Of course, they are both
Yeah.
2-0 coming into this one. And I already mentioned it. One of them is going to remain undefeated 3-0 to start off the first round robin in the regular season. That is no slouch. Beating all three of the other teams, that almost guarantees that you go into that playoffs, unless you slide down heavily in the back end. So this win's going to mean a whole lot to both of these teams.
Yeah, and especially with, the playoffs and the formats that we have here, obviously 4 groups of 4, top 2 go on to the playoffs. You really want that number 1 seed, because you face a number 2
Oh,
seed from a
absolutely.
different group, and the winner of this, you have to think, gives them a huge advantage, because not only, are they gonna be first in the group 3-0, but also the advantage of the head-to-head, right? If these guys are gonna go
Yeah.
beat the opponents again, could really come down to this match kinda being played again, and, obviously gonna be up that first game at Smacks. I also like how you bring up the junglers, because I think we have to really take a look at the jungle, because I think it's a really meta-defining role at the moment. Currently, we're seeing a lot of early game junglers getting played, like the Nidalee, like the Lilia, like the Graves. And I'm curious to see if these guys go for those picks, or if we see some of like the Graves Kindred handshake that we have going on, right? Where Graves is
Mm.
priority picks, better blind, stronger early. Then you take the Kindred to kind of, soft counter it. You match early. You might get out pushed off a few objectives or camps, but then later in the game you scale really nice and you can match that range. And I'm curious to see if they go for one of those matchups, or if they just try and take the Nidalee into the Graves and try and kill that thing.
Yep. There are a lot of different ways that you can go in this jungle meta, as you mentioned, but nearly all of them are very farm heavy, very resource heavy, and
Yes.
then they become carries for your team later. Whether it is the Hecarim who is just running over everyone,
Yes.
or something like that Nidalee, where you do have that utility for your team alongside early damage when you go for the supportive build like the Athenes, you're still a very, very burst heavy champion. And if you are getting hit by those spears, even with a support build, you're taking about half your health if it's a long distance away. So definitely be on the lookout for all of these jungle champions. And I think these two players exemplify that very well. So I'm very excited to see what becomes of this draft. And I believe we are going to get started on that very, very soon. Is that correct, Hyper? I believe we're getting in. Okay, just a little bit while longer. My mistake, everyone. But yeah, so the jungle is here. Of course, you can't get to the point where you were very fed as a jungler, just steamrolling over the entire game without the help of your mid laner. The mid is the one who dictates every single invade that comes on through. All of the priority that comes into that lane feeds directly into your jungler. And that's a matchup. Even though we were already talking about the junglers a lot, the mid lane is going to matter just as much, if not even more so, Cubby.
Yeah, and something I'm curious to see once again is, Spearax coming off a Supernova Dark Matter would be the last time that we saw him. He was the carry of that team. He was hands down
Oh,
the
yeah.
best player on that team. He got a ton of resources. He really was the one pumping out the damage in those team fights where Spider Queen was, playing the utility in the bot lane. I want to see if Spearax is going to take on that role, play those Azirs, or if he's going to go towards more of the Galio role, right? Ensuring that his team has push, ensuring that Kind Jungle can really get off and running on whatever he wants to take in the jungle and plays more of that supportive mid laning role. I'd like to see him do a little bit of both because that would show like some evolution from Spearax. But this is a guy I thought was really, really strong on a weaker team in SGC. And I'm happy to see him end up in Maryville B. Same thing with Dinka in the top lane. He was obviously making an appearance in SGC as well on life support with Captain Shrimps. Seeing him come into the collegiate scene as well, learning under Zoo, trying to improve, in his 5 space and learning under Niles as well is something that's really important for Dinka, right? And I want to see what kind of play he brings to the table as well, because these are the two young guys. They're starting to evolve as players. And if they can really show it today on stream, could be really promising for this B squad from Maryville.
Yeah. And Cubby, you're not even mentioning the biggest benefit of being on Maryville B. You get to study under the one and only Rebel Fox, Dean Merrick.
This is true. This is
He
true.
is there helping out those teams. So
Dean Merrick,
that's
I'm a
huge.
big fan of Dean Merrick. Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah, me
also
too.
I have this like running joke with Dean Merrick too, that he has like a Sith Lord name, so it's appropriate that I have this dark background. I should have been the one bringing up because I like Darth Merrick is obviously a character in Star Wars lore as well,
Yeah.
not canon, but yeah, we don't have to get down that rabbit hole. But yeah,
We get a throwback from last week's Upsurge Downsurge right here.
yeah.
Oh man, that is gold right here. But we are gonna take it into the draft right now. As much as we love talking about our good friend Dean Merrick, we are here, and yeah, Cubby, it's happening. The game is starting.
It's happening. It's starting, and curious to see some of the early bans coming out. I know that we talked about the Nidalee being priority for these guys coming on in. That's going to be taken away right away. No business going on in this draft. We don't want any of those invades, any of that pairing with the Renekton as well. Something that you have to really think about if you're going up against red side. Renekton Italy is something that we're seeing at Worlds just blow up a bunch of top laners and a bunch of team comps being built. Something else we're seeing at Worlds is I really feel like red side is set up nicely now for a 1-3-1 comp. The fact that Camille is so strong, and if you take the Camille, you R3, you can get rid of picks like Jackson, Mordekaiser, can kind of balance that out. And we see Maryville kind of denying that, right? Taking away the Volibear, taking away the Twisted Fate, especially, something that was really going to help them as we go.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned that red side at Worlds specifically is set up in a very good spot for that 1-3-1. However, red side on this patch does have to care about some Season 10 champs, Cubby, and Samira is one of those. I was pretty excited to maybe see that champion in action today, but Rovex's Simps know better. They know to ban that champion away. It's way too broken. It's getting another nerf next patch. It is so strong. And Lilia is there too. We already mentioned the junglers really liking those farm-heavy champions. So those going to be taken away alongside the Orianna, S-tier mid laner.
You know what, Smacks? Sure. I'm surprised that you knew what was going on in this patch. You've been spending a lot of time on the PB either, my friend, trying to figure out what's going on in 5 patches from now.
Samira's really broken then too. Don't worry. That does not change. Although I am still confused as to how Ornn is going to work on PvE and in the next season, because I don't think they've given him item upgrades yet because of all the new items and everything. They're going to have to give him a kind of like a mini rework at least, and looks like he's being hovered too on the side of Rovex's Simps. But we do see that Graves has been the lock-in for Kind Jungle. That's farm-heavy jungler right there, Cubby.
Yeah, and with Lilia and Nidalee off the table, Nidalee being one of the worst matchups for Graves as well. Not surprised to see him first picked. Very high priority on this champion. And also we have the Ashe locked in, speaking of high priority. Still that top 80 carry gives you that lane priority. Really helps your jungler with those hawk shots. Not to mention the fact that her damage in teamfights later, very underrated coming on out. It's just that she is immobile. You have to be really good at positioning with her. But when used well, can be a very powerful pick throughout the game.
Yeah, and I really like the Ashe being locked in too, because the priority on Caitlyn has sort of shifted ever since she has been nerfed a little bit. Ashe already was a good pick into Caitlyn, and just about everything else too, because it was just a really high range lane bully, and you do get that utility with the rest of the game, which lends itself perfectly to the carry jungler sort of game. So I like that coming out of Andy Bendy quite a lot. He was playing that a lot in summer too, so that's coming on now. And the Galio for Rovex too. So we already mentioned how Spearaxe might be on this roaming style. Rovex is the one doing it, and Spearaxe is taking the lane dominance with the Syndra.
Yeah, so Syndra into Galio, it's a winning matchup for Syndra. That said, Galio can still get priority, but I'm really curious with this Gangplank lock-in. I feel like they're trying to force an R3 out of Rovex's Simps here, and I feel like Camille is something that would be very powerful this game. To combine with that Galio, you can use it to attack the Gangplank and win that lane in a skill matchup. But instead, we're gonna have to see what they end up going up with. It's going to be a Maokai. So really forming around a beefy front line. And keep in mind, we do expect that Galio to be mid. The Maokai most likely to be top, but still some flex options available here for Rovex's Simps as well.
That is very, very tanky for Rovex's Simps. Their damage is not very high at all at this point. Which I feel like is a very good thing for the likes of Graves and Gangplank, who do have just so much sustained damage. And if you can't deal with the barrels, which melee champions do have a very tough time doing, then Gangplank is just going to be critting your entire team for 700, 800 damage. So I'm really confused as to what Rovex's Simps are doing at this point, honestly, because this draft is very, very tanky with the Galio and the Maokai.
So the one good thing that Rovex's Simps has going for them is the fact that something that doesn't do well in the tanks is Syndra, right? Syndra, she can peel, she can create space for AD carries, but against tanks, isn't going to be doing as much damage as that burst she has with her ultimate against squishies, right? So the fact that they are building this front line is going to hurt the Syndra a little bit, but you have to feel like with the Gangplank coming on through, and also the fact they get an 80 carry of choice, this opens the door for a possible Aphelios coming on through if they don't want to take it away either. They do have some protection for him, and that's something that does well in the Ashe and well in the tanks as well. I'm curious to see what Maryville's response is, but I'm with you. Really curious what Rovex's Simps has up their sleeves for this one.
Right. We're going to need to see a pretty high damage jungler, I imagine. But the Hecarim and the Kindred are gone. Yes. They do not have access to those. Of course, that gray square right there for Rovex's Simps, that is a Jhin ban. So that Jhin will not be available. But Cubby, just real quick, I do want to mention that in summer, we got this talk from some of the Supernova members. Evan RL has a pretty darn good Syndra. So
this is true.
Maybe we could end up seeing something along those lines where they send something else to the mid lane for Maryville, and I don't know. Just spitballing here. Maybe that happens, but the Syndra counter has been locked in. It is Echo. and still some flex
There's
pick
the flex.
options for Rovex's Simps.
Yeah, that was the flex coming on through, and I like the Echo pick and the Syndra. Once again, I feel like red side sets up really nicely for 1-3-1 comps because Ornn is really meta-defining on blue. Like, you can just kind of blind Ornn, and, you know, he doesn't have great matchups, but you can still just scale and run with it, right, and form a disengage comp. Whereas on red side, you have the opportunity to counter lanes. And so by taking this Echo and flexing that Galio bot, you get a really good matchup in mid, try and get some priority going for whatever jungler they want to go with. Whereas meanwhile, we have the neutralizing lane coming into the bot. We have that Senna Thresh coming on through. A lot of safety. Thresh being pretty good in the Galio too. You can flay him back, try and get him out of that dash. And Senna, once you get to that, you know, through those first 5-6 levels in this matchup, is going to be perfectly fine, farming up those souls, farming up those creeps. She will get shoved in, but still just going to scale really nicely.
Ooh, and it does look like that is the Kha'Zix coming in. So that does lock in Galio bot lane, Echo mid, and the Kha'Zix in the jungle for Frosty Nomad. So that is a pretty high damage champion, and it's not going to be against that much of a front line either. So the isolation, the burst potential of this champion, the resets late game, Frosty Nomad has that in his wheelhouse. We already talked about it a lot. This guy is a big carry for the team, and he's on the champion to do it, Cubby.
Yeah, and this is a pick that I don't want to spoil too much, but we might have been playing a little bit as well. Kha'Zix is playable at the moment, and the thing that I like about him is that he brings a lot of disengage. That said, Rovex's Simps, they're not looking to disengage, right? They want to go in, they want to try and fight and make things happen. So I feel like Kha'Zix was just kind of the last pick of the litter for them, right? Like, a lot of junglers got taken away. This is what they ended up with, and they feel okay with it. But I'm not a huge fan of him this game, right? He's going to have a tough time getting around Syndra and GP barrels to make a significant impact. Really tough to deal with Thresh as well. And where he thrives, where you can kind of harass with W, let the fight stall out, and then pick your point as the assassin. So really curious to see how this one is piloted by Frosty Nomad.
There's also a really big wrench in the plan for Rovex's Simps, and that is Senna Stealth. You, as a champion with a point-and-click lockdown, like the Kha'Zix Q, the Echo Phase Dive, the Maokai route, all of these you have to have a target to hit, and those are the ways that these champions get in. The Senna Stealth is so devastating against champions like that, and not to mention the auto attacks for Andy Bendy, too. Just an absolute nuisance to deal with just for Senna and the rest of Senna's team too, because that is of course an AoE stealth. So there are a lot of difficulties that Rovex's Simps are going to have to face up front in this game, because as you mentioned, this is not necessarily a team that you want to be peeling back on. You've got 2 assassins, you've got 2 frontline tanks, and a utility marksman. You want to go in. So this Senna is a very nice pick at mitigating that as a whole, and as you already mentioned, Gangplank and Syndra are perfect champions to deal with that too.
Yeah, I really like the disengage they have now. And like you mentioned, I think that it's really intelligent you brought up the Senna Stealth, right? Because you have to get in range for that. And Rovex Simps, I mean, they do have tools to get in range, right? If you land an Ash Arrow, if you're able to flash and root someone with the Maokai, you might be able to chain. They have 4 melee champions, so they're going to be playing up. They need to play up. But if they botch any of these engages whatsoever, that disengage coming through from Maryville is going to be so lethal. And if you throw on top of that the scaling that they possess with the Gangplank and the Senna in those side lanes, heavily outscaling those counterparts, Rovex's Simps needs to play fast. And I'm really curious to see how this top side of the map plays, right? Because we've spent a lot of time talking about their mid laner, that bot side that we know is very strong. But this top side, they're coming from Collegiate. Frosty Nomad, obviously talented player. Azo in the top lane has some game, but they're a little bit more unproven compared to some of the other members that we have in this game. So this is a good chance for them to step up and prove they have what it takes to compete at this level, because it's going to be on their backs to really get the ball rolling in this one.
Right. And they've got some opportunities to do this. You know, they've got these champions. Yeah, they are pretty difficult to get in on the side of Maryville. Rovex's Simps are going to have a tough time killing people with these very melee champions, with these high skirmish champions. However, they do have some outplay potential. I do want to mention that Maryville, they've got a lot of damage, but a lot of it is based on skill shots that are rather difficult to hit. You do have to land the Thresh Hook, you've got to land the Syndra Stun, the Gangplank barrels are sometimes tricky to deal with. So Rovex's Simps being very bulky and having the possibility of dodging these abilities, they've got some ways they can finesse this, Cubby, but I think we're all, or at least I think the two of us are in agreement that Maryville B have sort of figured this out just a little bit as far as their draft.
Yeah, the pet predictions, they're not looking as hot for me this game after seeing this draft. I'm going to be honest, but we did give one game. This might be the one game to give, and then they come back. But I really feel like if Maryville, stall this one out on even footing around the 15 to 18 minute mark, they really start winning fights. And it's going to be a lot on the back of Spirax and Dinka, the new guys, right? Can these guys coordinate their disengage, re-engage the fights as well? Because if they stop the initial engage, there's nothing else that Rovex and Simps are going to have to go back in. So really want to see them use their tools to kind of reset the fight, go back in, see if they can get members and get wins and fights that way.
Well, Cubby, if you or anyone in the Twitch chat would like to use your tools in the game as well, to the best of your ability, there's no better place to look than Kono.store. If you're looking to take your game to the next level, it all starts with your peripherals. From keyboards, keycaps, mice, and more, our friends at Kono have got you covered. Kono works with the world's best designers, inventors, and makers to bring you some of the best gaming peripherals around. Kono have been huge supporters of us here at Upsurge and have made generous contributions to our prize pools. You need to find a new keyboard, check out the Hex Gears X1 RGB low profile Bluetooth mechanical keyboard. Use the discount code UpsurgeGG for 7% off your first order. And for more information, head over to Kono.store to check out all they have to offer. That is KONO.store. Kono, discover amazing products. And we're going to discover what it's like to get into game here, Cubby. We'll see you all at the end of this break with game number 1. Welcome back, everyone, to the Cubby Smacks Wondercast here on Summoner's Rift for game number 1. We got Maryville B versus Rovex's Simps. Maryville on the blue, Rovex on the red alongside the rest of his Simps. And Cubby, we're in for a nice match, I think.
Yeah, it should be nice seeing both these collegiate teams going up against each other in UPL. Obviously, a C-Law doesn't really get going until the spring. We do have some fall stuff going on, depending on what conference you are in, but fun to watch these two schools square off in this amateur competition where try to bring in the best teams that we have at amateur, and these two guys definitely deserve to be a part of the competition. They've been proving it so far, going 2-0 in both games.
And what else is fun is some level 1 craziness, as it looks like Evan RL and Julian are squaring up to do just that. They're sitting in those bot lane brushes, just waiting for someone to arrive. And yeah, well, I mean, we'll have to see what comes of that one. Kind Jungle, of course, playing this Graves can go for these camps just completely on his own if needed.
Yeah, and it looks like he's going to sneak over to his red at the last second, try and start that, unless we're getting some really wacky path and starting the Krugs. I was about to say, that's something that I haven't seen before, but going to start up his red. And something that I really want to look out for is that Echo is kind of a classic counterpick that we've seen to Syndra. We do have Rovex's Simps. Simping for Rovex, putting Galio down in support so he gets a good matchup in the mid lane. This matchup really doesn't take off until levels 5, 6, where Echo gets that push priority. And I think it's really going to help unlock this Kha'Zix. I know that we talked about how this Kha'Zix can kind of struggle and how I'm not a huge fan of it unless you're playing a disengaged comp, but he is going to have mid-prio with him, and Echo, once he gets ahead and gets some items, can be very lethal.
Yeah, you do have to wait just a little bit for Echo to get some levels into his Q, of course. That is his main wave clear tool. And he does, of course, have the minion dematerializers to make his minion damage just that much more. But, oh, nice dodge of the hook. But those don't come online for a few more seconds. So still going to have to wait for that one. And obviously the ability power does not hurt when throwing those Qs in for Rovex either. So maybe first back is when things really start rolling for Frosty Nomad. But he's got some time to kill. He's just taking away these minions in the jungle already on that Gromp.
Yeah, and it looks like both junglers opting for a full clear here. Honestly, benefits the Kha'Zix, right? The fact that Graves didn't get up in his face gives Kha'Zix a little bit more breathing room.
Oh, that's a lot of damage onto Julian. He's forced to flash away, dodges the tail end of that volley, but the flash already in this lane is going to be detrimental, to say the least, as Chow does land all of his crowd control onto the Thresh. He is level 2, does have access to the Justice Punch and the Shielded Durand.
Yeah, and good timing as well. As Kha'Zix is down here, they might look to pressure. We're going to have to see if they can dive. They do have Flash still on Chow. They could go for this.
Oh, Julian does not see that. He does land the hook, but Kha'Zix's burst is huge. And Evan RL now just barely making it out the turret is... Oh my god, the volley gets him! That's 2 quick kills for Rovex's Simps. My goodness, that dive was crazy.
That's a huge play coming out from Rovex's Simps. And we talked about in this early game that, you know, Frosty Nomad and Azo really have to get things going. But no, it's the bot lane taking that initial advantage and Frosty Nomad going down there to cash things out. Good play coming out from Rovex's Simps. Says, give Andy Bendy some love in the bot lane.
There is a level 2 Thresh in the mid lane right now, as they are going to be splitting that experience. I imagine this is just to make sure Aspirex does get a favorable recall, but Julian dying there is going to be in this lane. He is going to be landing the death sentence just to bully out Rovex that little much more, and it is going to be that cheater recall for Aspirex.
Yeah, and it looks like we might actually be able to take a second look at that dive coming on through. I mean, this is so clean, such good juggling coming out here from Rovex's Simpson. Big part of it, too, is that Thresh goes down before they can even, you know, take tower aggro, right? Galio pretty much got him for free, and it was pretty much a 3v1 dive on Ashe. So Julian, a little bit of a misstep there. I get what he was trying to do, trying to get vision, but I feel like Evan should have utilized his trinket to try and make that one happen, as we have a counterplay.
Yeah, we do have a counterplay indeed. The engage coming in from Kind Jungle. All of the crowd control landing from Julian secures that kill, and a Lantern there to bring the Graves to the kill. Chow, of course, does not have his flash based off of that dive earlier. That's an easy kill in response to the early dive.
Nice counter coming out from Maryville B. They know that Galio doesn't have his sums. They attack him instantly. The good news is that Andy Bendy does still get all the gold and XP. And also off of that, they might be able to sneak Dragon. They have that Scuttle Crab. They're going to have Tempo coming out because Thresh had to recall, Graves had to reset, and it looks like Frosty Nomad's going to cash in on that play. So gold going over to the pockets of Maryville B, the Dragon going over to Frosty Nomad and Rovex the Simps.
And of course, Drake is isolated in that camp. You don't necessarily need your Q evolution to take that one down. He is leashing it out just a little bit because he does see Julian and Kind Jungle over there. And they know that the Kazakhs is taking the Drake, but at this point, it is too late. First dragon of the series going over to Frosty Nomad. But yeah, look at that top lane. And in the mid lane, too, a gank is going down. Chrono break, excuse me, to get Rovex on out of there. No flash needed. Lives by the skin of his teeth.
And Tinka getting under some pressure here too, as he's gonna take a casual tower shot. He can afford it. He's a tree. He's gonna be just fine.
Yeah, he absolutely is. You do have that untargetability from the Maokai too, and looks like he is roaming down the river just to be that nuisance for Kind Jungle. Of course, Frosty Nomad is feeling good, participating in both of his team's kills, farming up heavily. He's got 3 swords now for the Kazakhs. I don't think Kazakhs has any hands at all, actually, so I guess all 3 of those swords are going into his mouth for the
He just
combat.
throws them on his claws, man. Just like kind of glues them on there. Yeah. Maybe some staples.
Where you get like the plastic knives in between your knuckles to pretend you're Wolverine, you know?
Oh boy, here we go.
You have the teleport. The taunt connects, but the cleanse is there for Julian. Julian is not quite as lucky as Evan with his cleanse, and that's another kill onto the Thresh, thanks to the teleport from Rovex.
Nice play coming out here from Rovex's Simps, as once again, Rovex's Simps continue to simp for Andy Bendy in this bot lane, getting him ahead. And I like that play coming out from Rovex, right? His mid lane state, it's even. They were on a reset. They had that deep ward. It's a really free play for Rovex's Simps to run whenever they want, and it comes up big for them. They've been cashing in on some early game plays and cashing in on a 700 gold lead they've opened up so far.
Right, and he's got nothing better to do right now, right? He still is waiting on that extra bit of ability power. We saw it there as he was clearing the wave. His Q just barely does not kill off the entire backline with just one cast. So still not really wanting to contest with the wave clear of Spirax. He's fine to go down 10 CS if it means that he can get his bot lane another kill, and it's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, why not? I mean, you just throw away a couple creeps. It's no big deal. And off the reset, too. I mean, we talked about the tempo from the Dragon play coming out from Rovex's Simps, but they're going to utilize some tempo on that reset, too. We have Chow going on up to this top lane, going to help Frosty Nomad take down this Rift Herald. And this is what Kazakhs really excels at with those claws, right? Isolated targets, chunking out their health bars. They're cashing in early, and I got to say, Rovex's Simps looking real good at start off this game.
Yeah, of course, there is a trade-off to evolving your Q early, though. You do not get the utility of the extra stealth. There's a pretty big tussle in this mid lane. The hook connects onto Rovex. He has his ultimate. He's going to cast it, but the ignite is there. The flay to follow. That's a kill for Kind Jungle. And Rovex, I feel like that time you probably should have flashed.
Yeah, got a little greedy there. Should have flashed the hook, as you mentioned, Smacks, but gonna go down as Maryville B throws 3 at their mid lane. Now, the bad part about this is that Dinka's kind of been roaming around the map. They thought that they were going to go for the lane swap. They called it off, so they actually missed all that gold, and now we have a TP coming in. They're going on Spirax.
You see it too, Cubby. The teleport is in.
No.
The cats are under the ground in the water, but not going to find anyone. Just going to be a full disengage from Maryville, and the teleport is for naught from Azo.
I don't really know what ended up happening with that play, right? They had tempo. They were trying to use it on another teleport play coming on down, but Maryville just walk out casually for free. They didn't even burn a flash. They just used a lantern.
Yeah. Dark Passage.
They've been bamboozled.
Oh, here it is again. Flash forward with the flay from the Dark Passage too. The Senna ultimate is going to connect on a robot. They are switching targets though. Andy's going to be able to get out, but Evan RL cleaning up Chow. So much action in just this lane alone, Cubby.
It's been a party in the bot lane, and usually we see these, benefit Andy Bendy going back to the Radiance times. Is they pretty much strictly played Fiestas in the bot lane. But this one, I have to say, I feel like even though it's pretty even in kills, I think Evan's getting the best of it, right? The fact that he can match the kill, and he is the Senna. He's gotten out of those early levels where Ashe actually has some kill threat on the lane. Going to start scaling really nicely into the rest of this one.
It is worth noting that in combat, Senna is able to earn a lot of souls through that one, as the Rift Herald is popped into this top lane. The dive comes through, and Dinka, he flashes, but it's completely useless there. He's still going to die. The turret plates do fall. The turret is still standing, but Gangplank is not.
Yeah, they recognize that play coming through. Dinka was trying to clear the wave, actually very intelligently. It's just that Spirax, and he couldn't get him to teleport in time. Kind Jungle was still making his way up there, so successful dive coming out on that top side of the map, which we talked about earlier, Smacks, right? You need to try and use this Maokai to make plays, pair it with the Kazakhs, try and get some work done before you start getting outscaled by this Gangplank and the Senna.
Julian trying to find a hook that just barely did not connect, but yeah, this top lane is, we already mentioned it. This is where we were expecting Frosty Nomad to spend a majority of his time, but he's making his ganks count all across the map, not just in that top lane. When you do have that untargetability with the Maokai turret dives, he was able to do it bot lane. He was able to do it top. We'll see if he can do it mid lane too. I don't even know if he needs to. He's just setting his sights on this Drake for now.
Yeah, so something that we didn't mention with this Kazakhs that I actually like for him this game is that he's not going into a true tank, right? And so he can just go full lethality as he is starting to work into those lethality items. This is one of the reasons why we've actually seen, and I think that Blue Side Graves is really strong because you can pair it with Ornn for free.
What? I did not think that he was going to have enough damage to do that, but again, we're getting a fighting in the bot lane. This time it's just 2v2. The Ashe stun connects. The stasis is good for Julian. He stays alive for now. Evan roping the Q through. He almost kills Chow, but here's Frosty Nomad yet again.
They're fine.
He does get snared. He's got the stealth. Here's the Galio ultimate. He kills the Thresh with that damage.
Evan!
The dodge out from Evan. He's going to get 2 with the turret. That's a double kill for the Senna, ending in a 2v2 in a 2 versus 3 for Maryville B.
Evan RL, Evan really good at League as he manages to pull that play off in the bot lane. A huge outplay coming on through as he's able to take 2 kills off of that dive, and that is a lot of tempo lost for Columbia. Yes, Andy Bendy is able to stick around, get some extra plates, but the fact that he was able to stall, pick up 2 kills in what was looking rather grim, good play coming out from the bot laner of Maryville B. And in the meantime, they got first brick. They killed that top lane tower.
And we're going to be getting into a replay as well, Cubby, of that play. And again, just look at all of this damage that was able to pump into Chow. He was not expecting that at all. And they weren't expecting the stasis either, Cubby. But here comes the Kazakhs. Let's watch it again.
Yeah, and the initial trade from Evan was so good because look at his health bar. It's still full thanks to Senna. They're still chunking out the Kazakhs, and he makes such a sick play here. That flash was dirty coming out from Evan RL, and the slow from the Glacial Augment, just not enough on Frosty Nomad, whereas meanwhile live, Smacks, Thresh is dead again.
He absolutely is. We are back to live, and there's already some more action. I don't know why I'm surprised at all, seeing how this game has gone. Yeah, Julian's dead.
He's having a tough go of things in the bot lane. He's been focused a lot. It's not easy to play against Ashe when she is paired against with CC, as she can just slow you down, keep you in range. And Julian kind of struggling in this one, as he looks like the weaker of the two in lane. That said, Evan RL still pulling out. He is behind in plates and CS, but is still going to be center, right? He's still going to scale, and it looks like Maryville B is going to sack that side of the map, try and live the fight another day.
Yeah, I do want to mention, as that replay was going on, and with the aftermath of the replay as well, we saw that play again from Frosty Nomad, going for the turret dive, trying to get those 2 kills. They did get them, but not only was the punish those 2 kills for Evan, they also got the 5th and final turret play in for Dinka. And it looks like with that top pressure, they're going to get their first neutral objective of the game on the side of Maryville B. This second Rift Herald, it doesn't give you turret plates, but it can give you a lot of pressure, and pressure is what they want at this point, as Maryville B have that scaling team. They have so much with the Gangplank and the Senna specifically, but everyone really does want to get to the later stages of the game, 2, 3, 4 items even, because at that point, it's very hard to break these champions.
Yeah, and the fact, oh, here we go.
Oh, the stuns
stun.
connecting onto the members of Maryville. The healing is there, and there's a Dark
Nice.
Passage too. Spearaxe is the one that gets sacrificed, and the Gangplank ult raining down hell onto the members of Rovex's Simps. They find one pick, but that is the biggest deterrent of all. They're going to be backing away.
I like that synergy coming out from Azo and Frosty Nomad. You can see he goes for that flash, twisted it, Vance, and Kha'Zix follows up immediately on the isolated target as he might be picked. Oh, never mind.
Julian again is going to drop as Kind Jungle knocked into the air. Chow is going under the turret yet again. The snare connects from Evan. He does have a lot of damage and sustain on this Senna. Still going.
Evan.
The barrel coming through onto Dinka as Andy Bendy getting dropped for the first time this game.
Evan's playing so well on this Senna, and I know that Dinka hit a big barrel there, but still Evan buying so much time and space just for himself on this team. And something I really want to see Rovex's Simps do, get this Echo in a side lane, right? Get him in the spot that he wants to be for the rest of this game. If you get him in a side lane, Syndra can't contest him. Gangplank has enough gold in this game where he might be able to, but it's still where Echo thrives, and it also gives him the risk of the fact that Kha'Zix might be trailing him at any point too. I feel like they're really making an error having Echo be mid. Now they're going to fix it, send Echo bot, try and get him to shove out those side lanes that he can do so well now that he has that 5 points in his queue and the proto belt wrapped up.
Yeah, of course, everyone is likely going to want to be on this bottom side of the map because this would be soul points if Rovex pick up this next Mountain Drake. As they are setting up both teams, the vision. Everyone's trying to land their poke abilities, and I mean, it's situations like this where everyone's grouped up that it does still feel pretty bad as Kha'Zix because you do really want everyone to be isolated, but maybe 6-kill Kha'Zix with the Duskblade is going to be enough, Cubby, to just break through everyone grouping.
He has a lot of lethality right now, and they're going to try and go, maybe?
Just casting that ultimate, trying to find something, but again, everyone grouped up is bad news for Kha'Zix, or any assassin, most likely, is that's a hook. Always following it through. Julian over the wall. He does have the stone plate this time. He is very, very tanky. The stuns are connecting onto Chow, but still forced to flash away. Not enough damage. The flash forward from Kind Jungle, just barely not enough to take him down. The Gangplank ultimate
Rovex
is here. Rovex is in the middle of everyone. He has his ultimate. He has the flash to get over the wall. He drops Dinka. He's going back over to Kind Jungle, but it's no other kills quite yet. Both top laners dead. The Drake is still up.
This would be huge to pick up this Drake. This gives them soul point, and that was a somewhat messy fight coming out. Honestly, I thought it was pretty good for Maryville B. The fact that they got to front to back a little bit with the Syndra and the Gangplank. If they control River early, it's really tough for Rovex's Simps to just straight up walk in there, but they ended up playing a little bit of bully ball, get in there, and manage to trade 1-for-1 and use their health bar advantage to take that dragon and really puts pressure on Maryville B. They are the scaling team, but they have to fight every dragon now that spawns so they can deny this soul going over to Rovex's Simps.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there in that fight was that Evan did not have his E available for that entire time. We talked about how disruptive that ability can be in these ones, as we are going to get another look at it. Did not have that. He already had used it, but they still go for this fight.
Yeah, and all these skills being blown into the Galio to really no avail puts Maryville in a tough spot when Rovex finally makes it to this fight to try and turn it around. But the fact that Maryville had a 4v5 for so long is really what, started to get them going. But Rovex, once he gets involved on that angle that Echo took, so good, as he really does start to do well with items. Usually it's in a side lane, but if you get into a team fight where that many cooldowns are already down, you can really wreak havoc on this pick.
Especially as that flanker. Of course, he does have the parallel convergence to potentially stun up the entire team. You have to be so careful of that. And that's a champion that we didn't really mention it before, but can be very good at spreading out the members for Frosty Nomad to find these isolated targets. You do have that AoE from the Echo parallel convergence. And you could say that of the Galio and the Maokai too. These champions are very good at making everyone avoid grouping up because their crowd control is all AoE. So maybe there is some synergy to these champions at the end of the day that we didn't quite see before. But these fights are kind of eye-opening here as Rovex's Simps take another one.
And I like the setup that Rovex's Simps have going on right now, getting Echo in that side lane where he really thrives. And you can see Maryville B, they have to match the gangplank to it, right? If they put Malk or Syndra in the side lane against Echo at this point of the game, Echo should be able to make a play on her, especially if you bring the Kazakhs or the Galio along too. So Rovex's Simps really happy with the current map state. They have prio in all 3 lanes. They're farming all 3 lanes. This is the perfect setup for them.
And Syndra doesn't necessarily like being against the Maokai either. You have no chance of bursting down that champion at all. He does have that untarget ability that he can dismantle the aggro from the unleashed power. And he doesn't even need any magic resistance to do that. He doesn't have any of it at this time, just the Sunfire Cape and the Ninja Tabby, but still, he is confident enough to go up against the Luden's Echo of Spearaxe, and I can't blame him. Maokai's very good into Syndra.
Yeah, it should be just fine. I want to see Frosty Nomad kind of trailing these lanes. I feel like if he's able to trail... Oh,
look at that cleanse.
Evan Arella's came to play today. Oh, boy, here we go.
The burst coming through onto the Graves. Thankfully, Dark Passage, again, is the savior here. Julian has been on point with that one, despite how many times he has died. But Kazakhs with the evolved Q, he deals a ton of damage to this Baron, and Rovex's Simps are just going to start it up.
Nice ult coming out from Dinka to check the Baron. They had a gut feeling they were on it. Stops them. They get a little bit of tempo back on the map. They allow Syndra to reset, but I like the fact that Rovex's Simps are looking for that, right? Because if they're able to bait a fight with these wards they have down, Maokai can get a really good angle to try and flank that team and open things up for Kazakhs and Echo.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about it. There is a pretty big downside to evolving Q on Kazakhs. You don't get the utility of the ultimate for the entire game, realistically speaking, unless you're playing against Rengar. It's either Q or R. Kind of similar to Udyr in that way, where you either go Tiger or Phoenix. You either go for the claws or the extra stealth.
Oh, here we go, here we go.
Nomad choosing that.
Is he going to get there in time?
Coming through.
I don't think so.
The Hawk shot is going to see it. He does have the vision. Oh, just barely not finding Spearaxe with that teleport, but a teleport's a follow from Dinka. Andy Bendy's going to have to hightail it on out of there. He's already used heal. I think he's out.
Well, we do still have the setup for Dragons, so Spearaxe utilizing that TP to ensure mid priority is going to allow them to get into this river, clear out the vision and objectives, and this is really good for the side of Maryville B. It's hard, really difficult for Rovex's Simps to get into this river, going through those Cinder Stuns, going through those Gangplank Barrows, but unless they force a fight like this.
That's a ton of crowd control onto Julian yet again. He does have his stone plate, but I don't think he's going to stay alive for much longer. That's a nice pick from Rovex's Simps onto the Thresh yet again. That's 6 deaths for him.
I mean, isn't that just the game? If they get Mountain Soul? I mean, how can you get through Mountain Soul on this team? And they're going to try and go for more.
They are trying everything in the entire hat to get through. They do get the flash out of Kind Jungle. That's an excellent cooldown 2 blow in this instance. The Drake is up. You can't contest this at all now if you're Kind Jungle. Man, that was an excellent play. These guys are killing it with the Drakes.
Yeah, their Drake control early. I mean, they got the first Drake off of a death they had in the bot lane, but they just had tempo off the reset because it took enough of Kind Jungle and Julian's health bar to force them to reset, and Kazakhs does those objectives so quickly. Frosty Nomad's really been on top of the ball when it comes to those, and it's paying off now. 4 Dragons, Mountain Soul on the side of Rovex's Simps, going to make it even more difficult for this Graves and Syndra to get through the front line of Rovex's Simps, because that Maokai getting real beefy now.
Yeah, the good thing about a comp like the one that we see out of Maryville B is that they have that scaling, and if they get to a point where they're even or ahead in items, then they are favored in those fights. But the bad thing is that you can give up a lot of early pressure, and when that translates into a Drake, this can happen where they're just too tanky, and the engage doesn't mean anything, as we're seeing here. Julian trying desperately again to find these picks, but instead, it's a double kill for Frosty Nomad. 9 kills on the evolution bug now.
It's just not Julian's game. We're just going to leave it at that. He's had a tough one as that death sentence meets a minion who did die on the bright side, but I don't think that was the target he was looking for. That's going to be the Baron going over to the side of Rovex's Simps as they continue to play this one out very well. And I mean, I really appreciate the use of priority that they've had in this game with Frosty Nomad. I mean, the fact that They utilized the bot prio to secure those dragons. They took Rift Herald on a reset that, brought Galio to the Rift and got that one for free as well. Really just a clinic in how to play the map, which is something we usually talk about when it comes to Maryville, right? And both their squads, how they play the map. But Rovex and Simps really giving it back to them in this one.
Yeah, and they don't even need to reset before taking that top turret either. Just picking up that extra little bit of gold to be as strong as they possibly can on the Baron Siege. They've got 2.5 minutes left on that buff. For their troubles, they're not even resetting with all of their members here either. They're still sieging down Cubby. They get another turret. That's 4 of them for them now.
I'd love to see a clean reset here. I think if they clean reset and set up a 1-3-1 and, put the 3 on the top or the bottom side of the map, they can try and take the rest of the objectives, because Echo is so strong in a side lane if you put him away from the team. Maokai, if you put him in that mid lane, should be able to get involved in any of these fights. I think that's the ideal setup for him here. I'd love to watch them, reset and spend that gold they have in their pockets, because that's really the only thing that could bring Maryville back, right? If they overextend a little bit too much, haven't spent their gold, and give Maryville a favorable fight.
They are not listening to you, Cubby. They are still on the map. The only person who's reset is Frosty Nomad to pick up an extra serrated Dirk. Everyone's still on the map, most notably Andy Bendy has almost 2,000 gold in his pockets. And that's true for just about every member. A little bit less than 2,000, but still sitting at the price of a BF sword about for every single member. So I'm fully with you. I think that a full reset would benefit them greatly, but they haven't been punished yet. This could be the time. Of course, Julian, his plays have not quite worked out at all in this one. Still just going to be shying away from that one. There's the hook. Does he connect with this one? The box does land. That's all of the crowd control going into him yet again, though. The Senna is not enough to save him. 2 dead already for Maryville. Resets don't even matter if you can just win the fight anyway. They might try to end the game. They're in the mid lane, knocking down this turret, knocking down this inhibitor, and they're still winning these fights.
Yeah, Rovex and Simps are too far ahead in this one to be stopped. Think they're going to find a retreat now, but with 2 inhibitors down, they just have to group in that top lane. They can have Echo hover on the 2 lanes. They already have super creeps coming on in. He still has TP to join the fight, but Rovex and Simps playing this one out so well, and really want to give credit to Frosty Nomad in this one. I mean, he took that R5 Kha'Zix. We weren't exactly sure how it was going to work out. Usually Kha'Zix is very good in disengage comps right now because of the absurd slow you get on your W when you evolve it. But he's made this one work. I mean, with the space that he's been able to find with the help of Azo and Rovex, he's going to work on this pick.
He absolutely is. And it's a pick that, I mean, you already mentioned you've been keeping your eye on recently, and it's always a fun whenever that win does come into the meta. Oh my God.
Goodbye.
That's just 2 dead before I can say 3 words. And those 3 words are continuously, oh my God, Cubby, they're still going. The assassinations are on point. Level 15 Kha'Zix is in your face. What do? You die. They do find him. Evan RL with the center damage. They at least get revenge for their jungler, but it's 4 dead. Everyone's still alive for Rovex except for Frosty Nomad. You gotta imagine this is the game-ending push.
Yeah, Kha'Zix got tired of being squashed as a bug, decides to squash Spear X on his own there, just makes the Syndra disappear. That's gonna be the game for Rovex's Simps as they take it to Maryville B, continue their win streak against this team. And Smack's gotta say, Pet's looking pretty good right now.
Yeah. Patroclus the cat, very, very smart. Of course, he did predict a reverse sweep for the side of Rovex.
We don't need to talk about that.
So that one might be wrong, but the prediction of the team who's winning looking pretty damn good right now, Cubby. Our pets and our own predictions. Rovex's Simps, they took a comp that we thought was at a disadvantage. They brought it to Maryville 29 minutes in.
Yeah, I mean, we said if they could get rolling early, they could find the win in this one, and that's exactly what they did, and it wasn't through top, it was through that bot lane. I mean, they pulled off that really clean 3v2 dive. I mean, they pretty much killed Julian before the dive even started, but they pulled off that dive. They started snowballing that into monster objectives, and all of a sudden, 25 minutes, Mountain Soul going over to the side of Rovex and Simps, and the game just kind of ends there.
Yeah, Cubby, honestly, we should have known this was going to happen. That's Andy Bendy in that bot lane on the Ashe. His name may not say Andy Bendy, but Robot 2 gets the ganks, and he makes it happen. They get all those plays down. Frosty Nomad, the benefactor of 12 kills. And what a game to open out this series, trying to continue their undefeated streak. I'm very excited to see if Rovex's Simps can do exactly that, as they are now at match point in this best of 3. Stay tuned, everyone, as we're going to take it to a quick break so we can get into the draft of game number 2, see if Maryville B can bring it back. We'll be right back.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game 2. We had Rovex Simps taking a big 1-0 off of Maryville B as my voice just cracked. That said, I'm taking over at the moment because I'm about to send it over to Smacks. We've got some fun for you guys. Smacks, what do you have for us?
We're going to do an unboxing stream for you all right now
Well,
because,
okay, this better be good.
because everyone, I have just received, just before the stream started, I received this in the mail, my new Ezreal Nendoroid figure from Riot. Right here. Look at the cute little blonde guy. Look at him. Adorable. But yeah, we're gonna be unboxing this one right now.
Is he cooler than this cute little blonde boy? Or
Hey, probably not. I mean, this guy doesn't cast League of Legends. He just casts spells in League of Legends.
I mean, toys are getting pretty advanced these days. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean that's true.
Cool
I don't know if this is one of them. I should have brought a box cutter. Is what I'm now learning.
Those are dangerous, Max. You don't want to play around with those.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe just a knife would do. Do we have something?
Also, I would not say that in an airport. I would probably get you in trouble.
That's true. That is very true. Maybe it's all okay, but I have employed the assistance of Mrs. Smacks to help me out. She's still looking. Yeah. Wife, by the way. Married, by the way. Right there. But anyway, you know, if it doesn't work out right now, we can get to it at a later time. But for now, Cubby, that first game, what a showstopper! Immediately, right off the bat, from Frosty Nomad and the rest of Rovex's Simps, they should be Frosty Nomad Simps after that one because of just how incredible that Kha'Zix game was. So many kills, 12 of them by the end. And he ended it with that ridiculous burst damage. Spearx didn't even get to cast any abilities at that point. He was immediately dead.
He squashed Spearx like a bug. And
yeah.
Frosty Nomad on that Kha'Zix, I mean, they saved him that R5 pick. He ate some extra jungle bands and it's a little bit curious about pulling out that Kha'Zix. But hey, he made it work with the help of his team. But also, he was really the one making those plays.
Yeah.
So big props to him.
Yeah, and we highlighted in the draft too about how they set up that draft with Frosty Nomad in mind. Of course, he was the red pick, 5-pick counter pick on the jungle, and I probably said pick too many times right there. But
now we'll find more. We're gonna say pick a lot more. Like
yeah, I mean
it's like the meow. We're gonna see how many meows we fit into this cast, right? It's like the Super Troopers game.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
And we already had a few meows specifically earlier when Pat Cat showed us all who was going to win on the stream, and he's been right so far. Of course, he did predict a 2-1, so Maryville gonna have to see if they can get that prediction completely correct. But for now, yeah, Rovex Simps. That's the team to watch out for here going into draft for game number 2, as I believe that is what we are doing. And we already saw a few power pick bans already. I believe they're switching sides, so perhaps Maryville are going to need to ban the Lilia and the Samira this time around.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Rovex Simps try and take away the Nidalee, as Nidalee Renekton can be such a strong 1-2 on red side, and I feel like Maryville banned that away first because they don't want to go up against Renekton Nidalee, and so I'm curious if they want to maybe take that one for themselves. That could be one of the changes that we have coming through in pick ban. And also, based on that last game, maybe you want to take away Ashe. I mean, I know that Evan RL was kind of the shining light in that loss that Maryville just had, but it gives a lot of priority to that bot lane, and it felt like Julian was kind of off his game in that last one. I want to see them maybe swap up that matchup and see if Julian can bounce back, play to the skill level that we know Julian can really bring to the table.
Well, first things first, Cubby, we are seeing a difference in ban strategy that Camille has been taken off the table. Of course, Camille, a little bit more powerful as a drafting tool on red side. You can blind pick that champion, and I think it is rather powerful to do so. It does not have very many losing matchups in that top lane, but nothing is quite as deadly as a Camille counter pick on red side. It is so devastating to have to deal with that champion against as a champion who's really not equipped to do so. So I like that ban adaptation here for Rovex.
Have you played that Jax matchup? That is a brutal matchup for Camille. It's really we've seen that when Camille's been R2'd, because obviously she is at very high priority. But yes, I agree. If you get R3 or R5 Camille, she can be brutal to go up against. That said, gray box for the viewers' information, that is going to be Smacks.
It's Syndra. You're pointing the wrong way, but it's Syndra. And that is Samira. Samira has not been banned, Cubby. And it has been first picked. We are seeing it. Andy Bendy has locked her in. Oh my God.
Okay, I'm really excited to see Samira, and I'm really excited that Smacks is the one going to play-by-play, because I do not know the names for Smacks. That is going to be on you, and we have a spectator.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. That said, we've got Samira coming to the Rift. Brand new champion, always exciting. And Kind Jungle gonna hop onto that Hecarim. We saw him early pick the Graves in the last one. Did not exactly go their way. So Maryville may be looking to swap things up. And this really brings in Shen to the equation, as he can really empower that horse to, you know, not only does he go galloping in really fast, really strong, but also with a giant shield, gets really scary.
Yeah, and the Orianna's already been banned away. I particularly am a fan of that with Hecarim too. Yes. I feel like Shen, Hecarim, and Orianna is kind of like the Exodia right now as far as things that can make Hecarim just take over a game, but we're not going to be seeing that one. No Shen immediately either. Of course, that's still on the table, but the Lucian has been more highly prioritized for the side of Maryville B. Of course, it is a very nice flex pick in the meta right now.
Yeah, it is a flex pick, and also if you go Shen at R2, you give up the free counter of the Mordekaiser, which is powerful into that combo. We did see the Shen hover coming out for Rovex Simps, but they're once again going to go towards that Maokai for the top lane, so looking for more control, and that would open up a potential Shen coming on through. Another counter that I really like to see into the Maokai is actually going to be Cho'Gath. It's kind of an old school counter coming on out, but I think Cho'Gath might actually do okay into this comp. It's, Maokai has to come into you. Galio has to come into you. Cho'Gath, you can just disengage, reset the fight for Lucian. So I think that we're going to see him pick a top laner here. Shen would go very well with the comp as well, but curious to see what Maryville locks in. So they do pick a top laner. You can throw 2 bans at mid, really protect that Lucian.
Yep. Whatever counter pick they do go with, and it is the Mordekaiser, this is a different Maokai. It is a blue side Maokai, and it is a blind Maokai. Previously, they did pick it into the Gangplank. So this is going to be Maryville B picking their strongest guns, well, except for Camille, of course, into that Maokai, and it is that Mordekaiser. And I like that matchup quite a bit. It is very difficult to get Dove on Mordekaiser, especially once you hit level 6. So if we are to see Azo and Frosty Nomad pair up on the Maokai and the Kha'Zix again, that top lane is not going to be where you need to go at all, especially when that Death Girl comes in.
Yeah, I was mentioning champs that like it when, you come into them, like Cho'Gath. Mordekaiser is the meta pick right now, is very strong and has a good matchup, and also interacts really well with Hecarim. And it's a strong counter to Hecarim because Hecarim needs things that empower him quite a bit, but I also really like it paired with Hecarim. Because obviously in this case, they needed some AP damage on the top side, but you can also take away a member that is going to make Hecarim's life difficult, right? So if you take the Maokai or the Galio out, you make sure that Hecarim has an easier time engaging onto that team, easier time doing all those whirly birds around on the team fly, getting the damage down. So I like that pairing coming on through.
We did get word that the final ban for Rovex Simps was, in fact, Ezreal. So it seems like Rovex Simps do think that this is going to be a lane Lucian, and the only lane left for that one would be Spearaxe on the mid. But, of course, it is still that flex picks. I'm curious to see if Lucian does work into the Samira. This is not a matchup that I've seen at all. I'm sure that most people watching at home have not seen a high-tier match of Samira really at all in general, because this is the first week in UPL. It has been ready, and it's not going to be seeing any play at Worlds. No pros are playing it right now. Oh, she was available last week. I'm getting word from Hyper, but nobody picked her. So this is the first Samira in general.
Because Silas would be really good here. It's a tough lane match because it's a lot of good ults.
Yeah, and it's going to be locked in too. The only thing, Cubby, is that they do have a lot of magic damage when you look at this comp, and Olaf would solve that. This is still, again, another composition where Frosty Nomad's going to have to snowball this very, very heavily, and they have 4 melee champions again, and Samira is the lowest range AD carry of all, too, so this is a very melee team.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Senna here. It's going to be this lock in. I was about to say, it plays really slow, and I don't know what the lane matchup is like, but actually, Zaya's okay here, because when champions have to come into you, Zaya gets really good. But it's not going to be the pick. Instead, it's going to be Evan Senna once again. Really helps empower the Hecarim, because you're going to have that global ultimate, not to mention the fact that she's pretty solid in that bot lane. That said, I really don't know what she does into Samira. Her Q isn't a projectile, so it can't be blocked. Her auto attack isn't a projectile either, right?
Yeah, the autos do work.
It's probably pretty good. Yeah, okay, this is probably pretty good here. That said, I actually like this draft a lot better from Rovex and Simps in the last game, which they won. Because as you mentioned, Smacks, Samira is a very low-range AD carry, but look at all the things they have that can possibly enable her.
True. That is very, very true. The knock-up auto from Samira is brutal to get hit by. And when you mention that Chow is on a champion who does have some extra knockups too, you're going to be in the air for a while, especially on Evan RL, whose only form of defense is this stealth. And when Samira is already in the middle of your circle, because that's how low her auto range is, it doesn't matter if you're in the stealth, you're still going to get hit. So I like this quite a lot. And honestly, I'm just really pumped to be seeing this champion in action, as it is very, very new. It is very strong, does so much damage. They had to nerf it so heavily on day 2 when it was released. So yeah, very excited to see a player like Andy Bendy piloting it, especially after his performance in the previous game on Ashe.
Yeah, I also really like the Olaf coming out here for Rovex and Simps. It gives you a lot of early pressure, and it's going to help Rovex himself kind of get through that lane, because the isolated matchup for Lucian against Sylas is pretty brutal for the Sylas. But when you have Olaf, who can get that jungle tempo and pacing, should be able to walk in and bully the Hecarim, and can at least give, like, you know, cause Lucian to maybe not always dash in and hold that ability. It's going to be really nice for them to have. Not to mention the fact that, once again, taking a jungler that pairs really well with Maokai, right? Just isolate that target, land a CC on him, burn him down with those axes, and that true damage coming through from the Olaf. I like this combo once again.
It is still difficult to do that against Mordekaiser, but if game number 1 was any indication of this, I feel like they're just going to go to the bot lane anyway, and they've got the Samira this time around.
It's
still
an Andy Bendy team.
A ton of crowd control with the Maokai and the Galio, fully expecting a lot of things to go down in this bot lane yet again. So,
yeah, and I have to say, something that I like a lot better this game, once again, the Galio support actually does a lot better into Rakan than it does with the Thresh, right? Thresh is actually a known counter, and Galio can kind of make Rakan's life a little bit difficult. If he lands the Justice Punch, can't cancel the W, can really make it tricky for Julian to find those clean engages. And so I want to see if Chow can have another good game where, you know, he just kind of is wreaking havoc, following up on whoever goes in and trying to create some more space for these melees.
Now, of course, a lot of that was off the back of Julian having a pretty rough performance on the Thresh. So, like you're mentioning, we're hoping that Chow can pop off again, but I would like to see it be a little bit more competitive as far as what Julian is able to put to the table on this Rakan. It is a change of pace. He's not going to be on the Thresh this time, so
yeah.
We'll
Rakan's not a champion it's not a champ you're going 2-7 on. If you're going 2-7 on Rakan, I'm really concerned, or else it's like a 40-minute game, right? It's going to be a lot easier for Julian to be safe, and Rakan does provide all that nice flexibility, some sustain in the lane, but it's not going to really bully the Samira, right? Like, they should be able to punish some of the lower range with Senna, but it's not something that's just going to blow up this lane matchup, so I'm expecting Andy Benby to be able to get ahead in this one and try and make things happen, as, you know, it's an Andy Bendy team. They're going to play through bot. It's solved. We know how these guys are going to play.
Yeah, I'm just as excited as you are to see Andy Bendy on this new Samira champion, which is just so strong. But before we get into the game, do have a word from Unified Esports Association, otherwise known as UEA. UEA is a Kansas-based community that oversees multiple products that specialize and operate as a dynamic pipeline within the esports industry, providing shared experiences that directly serve collegiate, youth, hobbyists, and amateur video game players at every stage. Starting a small student group out of Wichita State University, since then, UEA has grown to be a veteran organizer to tournaments and events throughout the United States. They host tournaments for games like League of Legends, Rocket League, and Overwatch. For more information, check them out at uea.gg. That is uea.gg. And with that, we're going to head off to a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 2 for some Samira gameplay, Cubby. Let's go.
Let's get it.
It is time, everyone. We are casting, we are watching, we are playing Samira on Summoner's Rift for game number 2 between Maryville B and Rovex's Simps. The latter up a game in this series at match point 1-0. Took game number 1 in style, and they're going to need a little bit more style for this one if they're going to make this new champion work, Cubby.
Wait, what was that? Oh, sorry. Your voice is a projectile, and I blocked it because I'm Samira. That was bad.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you remember when they put out that meme image of Yasuo wind walling in all directions?
Oh yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, that was a good time.
It's real. It
is real. Yeah, it's not a good time, but
she's
gonna be fun to
literally
cast.
a Doombot champion, I think. Remember, man, Doombots was fun. It just came out of my mouth, but now that I'm thinking about it, I miss Doombots.
It was a great game.
That was so fun.
It was a classic game.
Yeah, that's what NA is playing at Worlds this year, I feel. So
I was hoping it'd be better than that.
Well, anyway, talking through the tiers now about NA at Worlds. We're into game number 1, and Chow is in this bush just playing zone control. He doesn't even need to do anything. He's just sitting here, just watching his enemies squirm. Spearex on the solution in the mid lane, like we mentioned in the draft, has that extra range in this matchup, has a lot of mobility with his dash to dodge out of the abscond abduct, and he's already making it work.
Yeah, and I like how Dinka is walking up and just taking these trades aggressively. Mordekaiser does so well at every single point of this matchup. If he keeps that passive rolling, that's all he has to do, right? Because Maokai can only come into you. If he comes into you, he's eating all that Mordekaiser damage. Not a fun time.
No, definitely not. And he is level 2 now for Dinka, slamming down the mace. Not necessarily winning the trade because he does not have his W quite yet. So maybe that ability is going to help him out just a little bit more, but still feeling pretty good pushing in this wave. He's missed 2 minions already, but again, still, he's got the lane control, and that's going to help out Kind Jungle if he does choose to go for that topside scuttle, which feels like he might as he's clearing up to that.
Yeah, I mean, if he gets that triple wave in and then just bases, he can buy an item, come back with full HP, get a refillable, and really start to bully around this Maokai if he wants to, as Rovex playing aggressively in this mid lane, making it happen. He knows he's up against a Hecarim, not really going to pressure you mid early. So he's able to take some more aggressive trades and at least try and contest this Lucian matchup that can be so bad for the Sylas.
Trading this heavily, though, does cost Rovex all 3 of his corrupting potions. So now he is going to run out of mana very, very soon. I do not believe he has the biscuits. So going to have to recall right away, but that's why he's got the teleport. And Spearaxe on the Lucian knows that he has kill threat, has the ignite, cannot respond to that at all.
Yeah, and because of that pressure, we're going to have junglers swapping the Scuttle Crab, so Kind Jungle going to be able to pick up that top crab. His Sylas TPing back to mid lane, and Dinka did take that donkey base we were talking about, so he gets that extra item going up against the Mordekaiser, and feeling pretty good in that matchup.
As Chow takes the turret shot, takes an ignite for his troubles, did use that Justice Punch, but Julian, very, very nice on the Battle Dance, is going to dodge out of it and win out on that trade tremendously with the range advantage and this Glacial Augment.
Yeah, we're going to have to see if they can get that wave in before they come back to the wave. Is a possibility. Could be a lot of CS missed for Samira, and Evan Orel is contesting this matchup nicely. That said, Samira still a terror as the game goes on, so gonna have to see if Andy Bendy, I mean, if anyone's gonna do it, you gotta think it's him. Meanwhile, Dinka, he's in a bit of trouble.
He absolutely is. Of course, he does have his W this time around, so that shield is going to keep him alive alongside his flashes. In the bot lane, Julian, what are you doing, man? You're not respecting the Galio crowd control at all. By himself, dives in, takes the ignite, takes 2 turret shots, and takes a death.
It's not his day. It's just not Julian's day today. He's having a tough go of things. Meanwhile, it might not be Dinka's day.
Oh, yeah, there is a dive coming. Azo is tanking up the turret. I believe he's dead.
Oh,
Frosty Nomad 2 Dinka make enough for his supports off day. Gets a double kill in a 1v2 dive.
I want to say that's a Dinka diff, but it's also just kind of a rundown coming out from the side of Rovex's Simps. Speaking of rundowns, Andy Bendy looking like he's in trouble here.
He is alone, going to flash
TP.
and heal on out of that one. The teleport in from Azo. He flashes forward to land the root onto Evan. The follow-up with the knock-up. The sapling is there, but no damage here. All of the crowd control is not going to be enough. The heal and the flash of Evan Orel is enough to save him, and Azo gets put even further behind.
That's huge. That was Azo's way back into that lane. Meanwhile, or with him not being able to pick anything up, we just have Dinka. He's going to crash that wave. Azo may not be there to contest it. Evan Orel doesn't go down, able to pick up this wave. And this game is coming up all Maryville so far.
It absolutely is. They even get that early dragon on Kind Jungle. They were not able to get any in game number 1 with the Drake Soul picked up by Frosty Nomad. But this time around, even on the Olaf, not able to do so. But he is able to get this mid gank off. The flash and the culling is down. They're shooting each other, and they both go down. Although Frosty Nomad is the benefactor of the kill on Spearaxe.
Do they have any like high noon skins in this game? Because I feel like that was just kind of like meet me in the town, whip out your pistols. We're gonna just figure this out old school. Kind of that situation going on as Chow really wants to save this wave. He's able to do so.
He is able to do so. That's an MVP support move right there.
That's a Chad support move.
Feeling very nice. Yeah. Well, at least his Chad moves are working out, as Julian's haven't quite been able to do so, but still going to be moving forward. Yeah, it's going to be dashing out, actually, as the teleport is enough to dissuade Chow and Andy. And Dinka matches the teleport of Azo in that they both get nothing.
Yeah, I don't think you wanted to do that. I think you don't really want to match that one, but this bot lane continue to play a game of cat and mice as going back and forth, threatening those TPs. None have landed yet as they played it out well, but Dinka's coming side. He has ult. He could be making this one tough.
Yeah, still here, but a lot of damage onto Julian. The pullback does not connect with Chow, but the
Dinka.
Death Realm does. The turret is dealing so much damage, but it is still a trade, and one of them does go over to Andy. It's a shutdown onto the Mordekaiser. He's the one with all the kills, but just a 1-4-1. It's the rest of the bot lane members are still kind of scratching their heads as to what's going on. But Evan, he is level 6. He has the ultimate. He is going to fire it, but Samira damage is clean. Oh my goodness, not clean enough. Not enough style on the new Samira. Another 1-for-1.
Yeah, not enough style on Samira, but Evan has plenty of style in this one as he continues to be the rock of Maryville B, turning that one around in the bot lane. A little bit of an overreach coming out from Rovex Simps seems to be a common theme, as I like what Julian's doing here, playing with his base, trying to shut that one down, delay it as much as he can.
Keeping the wave there for Evan RL, who has been a huge boon for the success in the early game for Maryville B so far. Of course, the gold is very, very even, but the gold is in different spots. Of course, there are 3 kills for Dinka. Evan has participated in 2 himself, and on the side of Rovex Simps, their jungler is the one who's participating most in these kills, as he does have 2 of them for himself. Very similar to game number 1, where Frosty Nomad is getting a lot of these, and yeah, I didn't even notice that, but Samira is here. Death Realm is not available. They do have the knock-up and the roots.
All played.
Hook back was very, very nice, but the style meter is full. He's going under the turret with the Inferno trigger. That is going to be the kill, and the turret just barely doesn't find the last hit on the tree. That's a clean kill off of the roam of Andy Bendy.
Okay, Andy Bendy, making this champion look pretty good with that play coming on out in the top lane. They catch Mordekaiser without flash, without Death Realm, and he's sent to the Death Realm himself by the rest of the team. Also turned that one into a Rift Herald, so some more tempo going over to the side of Rovex Simps. And speaking of Rovex Simps, Rovex.
Oh, yeah, he does have to get that Hecker multi, but they are used at the same exact time. It's another draw for Rovex, but this time he does not get a kill for his trouble. He's going to go down yet again to the jungler of Maryville.
So that was a good play in the top lane coming out from Rovex Simps, and it does not done that top lane turret, but a ton of XP is being lost in the spot lane, is just being thrown on the Galio, who's now dead.
He's probably dead. Of course, he is very, very bulky. He has the aftershock, but yeah, no, you're right. He is going to go down. And I like that you mentioned that here for Chow, because he's been the one to try to catch all these bot waves, and that's really not what you want. As support players ourselves, Cubby and I, that feels really weird. You've got your support item, which dissuades you from taking any farm, because eventually you get the Monster Hunter passive, and it's just kind of a bad time to have just all of that lane by yourself. You want to be helping out your team, but at the same time, you don't really want those minions to go to waste. So very odd that the Galio is the one to stay in that lane the entire time, but it does mean that Rovex Simps got the entire first turret in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, I like the play onto Dinka. It's a good idea. It ended up working out for them, but all that experience is just thrown on the wrong member of the team. And yes, the gold graph, it does look even at the moment, but if you look at some of the levels that are going to start open up as this game goes on, it's going to be dangerous for the side of Rovex's Simps. You can already see Spearaxe up a level. That might just kind of be because he got 2 solo kills. But we'll see as this game goes on. And the Dragon going on over to the Olaf team as well, so they are able to even up that count.
Yeah, Rovex and Julian taking a tussle.
Oh, they're looking.
Right
they're
there.
looking. There are a lot of pings going down.
There are some wards here, so they do see Kind Jungle and Julian, as Dinka is around 2. We're getting the NA Ram as everyone's grouping up. The Drake's already dead, so the only thing left to do is fight, and that is what they're going to do. The snare does connect onto Chow. He does not have his flash, but he does have the ult. He gets over the wall with the use of that, staying alive, shockingly, as does every other member of that fight.
Well, that was anticlimactic, as we just have the hero's entrance being the hero's exit, as he's able to get out. Julian going to stop another base. He's done a really good job of that this game, as really starting to threaten the members of Rovex Simps with his base stopping ability. It's kind of the best ability he's shown so far. We're going to have to see if he can keep that up.
Yeah, he's certainly being a nuisance in this game, but
Oh
the
boy.
teleport in. I feel like Andy's probably still dead as the charge does come through, and it's just going to be a drive-by. Kind Jungle picking that one up for himself. 2 kills now on the Hecarim, and Andy Bendy had no way out.
TPs were a good idea, but just came in a little bit too late as Frosty Nomad can't even take that wave. Has to soak the XP, not the gold. And Maryville looking like a little bit of a different team coming on out in this one as they've been able to not only turn plays around, but also have some proactive ones, which we didn't see in game one.
Right. There's still no major advantage, but I fully agree with you, Cubby, that Maryville are looking a lot better with this
Yeah.
one. Most notably, Julian. We already have been talking about it a lot, but there's not a lot of room to go down. Oh, wait. This Olaf cannot be sent to the death realm when he is in Ragnarok, and he has so much damage, and it is enough. He gets that kill completely by himself. Azo is just there to watch. Meanwhile, Rovex used that Abscond Abduct to get over the wall.
Evan's
nice
dead.
and clean. Evan, he barely gets out of that Inferno trigger. Doesn't even have to use his flash right there. He does heal, but still, staying alive is a lot better than getting killed.
You might have missed this one, Smacks, but Frosty Nomad also flashed the Senna ult coming from all the way from bot lane, from downtown to actually survive that one. So really good play coming out from the Olaf as Samira. We have this Bloodthirster rush coming on through. Smacks, I know you've been playing on the PBE, but I'm going to give you a chance to show off your big brain because I don't exactly know why Samira's going Bloodthirster first. Maybe you do.
Oh, I can't. I do know why Samira's going Bloodthirster first. So you do build this champion very similarly to Draven of old. Of course, Draven has been recently going for some Muramana lethality Halo Blade shenanigans. But the previous
indeed.
Draven build, as we are seeing all of that damage,
boy.
the style meter is full. And here's Frosty Nomad in Dinka's face again. All of this Olaf damage is way too much for him to deal with, but the Evan shots coming through. He runs out of mana, but the Presence of Mind is going to save him for now, but it's a double kill for Chow. Oh my goodness. It's just fighting every which way, Cubby. It's a 3-for-1.
I mean, Frosty answering that TP from Dinka was so big for his team because Dinka, if he gets in there, no, he doesn't have Death Realm, but given the Mordekaiser at this state, should be able to turn things around. But I have to say, Dinka, when he had that 2-0 lead, he has not snowballed it properly. He's had a few oopsies on the TPs, hasn't been able to attack the Maokai the same way, and that's really buying space for Rolex and Simps to get back into this one.
No, it really is. But back to what you were talking about the Bloodthirster for Andy Bendy. You really like having lifesteal on this champion of Samira because your Q and your ultimate both interact very positively with your lifesteal stat, and they're both AoE as well. So you really like having that ability very early on into the game, and the raw AD is very beneficial too, as all of your abilities have incredible AD scaling. Because you're using them so frequently, of course. And because the Q cooldown is very short, the Essence Reaver build isn't quite as good as people thought it would be upon first glance. You also don't need that much mana because her Q only costs 30 mana to cast. And your ulti at level 16 costs 0 mana to cast, which is very nice.
Honestly, everything that you spelled out in that explanation just sounded busted as we have another fight.
It is. Yeah. As we are going to get another fight, of course, Chow is very tanky on this Galio. Not going to be enough as he's in the middle of 5 people. Those little cats spreading their love into the river. Not going to be enough to save the Papa Chow.
And that kill is going to lead to a dragon. So another monster objective going over to the side of Maryville B in this one. Going to feel nice to start stacking up those Infernals. No one's going to be close to Dragon Soul, but taking those monster objectives pretty good. And also avoiding the team fights at this point is a big deal as well, right? With Maokai and Olaf really being strong champions at the moment, the fact they're able to find a pick, don't have to go for the team fight to get that monster objective is a big deal as Andy's in trouble.
He is a very slippery champion. He does have the Galio ultimate coming on down. Can he get the style down? He can, but it's a shot from downtown from Evan to take him to the grave. No style in the world is going to save you from that.
Olaf not in trouble. They're going to go for any plays on him as he is still that scary Viking at the moment. But hey, Maryville B continue to make good plays. I know that the gold is not quite in their favor at the moment, but Kind Jungle really showing up on this Hecarim this time around as he's wreaking havoc in this lane.
Oh,
Oh, he's
look
dead.
at Chow. He's killed him. That's a 1-for-1 under the turret. Even though Chow, it's uncomfortable for him to be getting all this solo experience, solo minion waves. If he can find the shutdown on a kind jungle, then I'd say it's worth it.
Rovex may be in trouble here. Gonna take a little bit of harass.
He's got the GLP slow. Gonna
Okay,
be able to get out of that one.
you can just see how brutal this matchup is in the mid lane for him, especially with Spirax going for this Bork build, right? Like, we oftentimes see Manamunes into Essence Reaver, so Lucian gets some crit, but no, he's going straight for that lane dominance and damage to answer the Silas, taking the Blade of the Ruin King into the Essence Reaver, giving him some more early power, and cashing it in against this melee pick.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned that because I am rather surprised that he didn't go for that mana immune because you do just get so much damage once that is completed into the Mura mana. But I guess it is exactly as you mentioned. He just wants to win that lane as hard as possible, and he's done exactly that. He's 20 CS up. He's got those 2 kills, and he's paved the way for Kind Jungle to get ahead on this Hecarim to his signature pick. It was in the slide for Upsurge, Downsurge. He's already got his Triforce, and he's working on the Death Dance too.
Evan RL is really starting to do damage. I mean, we talked about him so much in Game 1 as he team together. Game 2 on the Senna once again, he's been playing fantastic, finding himself at 4 kills and already has 2 items completed. And those Qs and autos really starting to do good damage.
The Ignite comes through. The minion wave is going to save Rovex, but he has to flash.
You know, Smax, Solution has a lot of flexible builds as... Oh, I can't talk. Here we go. Your turn.
Yeah, no, you cannot. We are seeing an engage onto Andy Bendy, and even though he has the wind wall, you still get auto-attacked by the horsey.
I was not expecting that to come through.
Well, it doesn't seem like Maryville are expecting this bot lane siege either, because they only have Dinka. Can he stay alive? He's in the Death Realm alongside Izo. The turret's dead. He's not finding any damage, and he's going to be backing away. There's the counter engage, but there's another one in the mid lane. Chow clips on the wall. That was really unfortunate, but the Hecarim ulti from Silas is enough to push them off for now. Can they continue this siege? Silas has a lot of healing. He does use it right there, but Evan in the stealth is so slippery. Now the rest of the fight is coming on down. The cat's in the river again, but Azo does not have any mana at all. He just has to back away. That's 2 dead on the side of Rovex's Simps. They may have gotten both. Oh, wait, they're still going. Frosty Nomads is an angry Olaf. Can he find Julian? They're dancing on a tightrope right now. Meanwhile, Spirax is sieging down the entire top lane.
Oh boy, he's trying this.
Look at all this lifesteal, Cubby. The Bloodthirster keeps Andy Bendy alive.
He's down
even
3
though
levels.
He's 3 levels down.
Wow. Okay. Well, that said, that Samira's looking good at times, but still 3-5-2, getting shut down. Maryville B taking over this game as they have dominance in this river. They're going to go for the resets. They're going to set up for the dragon and try to clean things up in what has been rather messy. But that said, Maryville B coming out on top.
And Gubby, these games are overwhelming me right now. There's just so much fighting going on. But
it's been a good time.
Again, it absolutely has. And I really love seeing Samira in these instances. Of course, Andy has been getting shut down pretty heavily, but you cannot underestimate Samira's scaling as the game goes on. She is still a crit marksman, still scales up very well with all of those traditional marksman stats. So unlike Draven, she is still a force to be reckoned with as the game goes on, as she does get that knock-up auto attack onto the target rooted by the Maokai. Here comes Hecarim, though he's fearing up everyone. He's in the middle of the entire team, but he's just not bulky enough. He gets shut down. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Can Andy Bendy stay alive? He's still going, but the flash form from Spirax, he's in the backline. He's dashing onto everyone. That's another kill form. Can he keep dashing? No. He can. He keeps on going, and Spirax, the flank from Lucian, the flash on forward, all the confidence in the world for his team to back him up. He keeps everyone there. The Senna healing, the Rakan shielding, that'll win them the fight 5-1 and secure the Baron for Maryville.
I gotta say, Spirax looking really good. Kind Jungle had a second engage there. Even Evan RL in the back on the Senna. providing so much damage, but also support. Those line heals were going through multiple members, not only of the enemy team, but his team as well, keeping those health bars topped off. Maryville B taking the Baron, going to take the Dragon as well to put themselves on Soul Point, and Smacks, looks like our pets are right. We're going to game 3.
Oh, I think we are, Cubby. They're going to be able to get this third Drake for themselves, another Infernal, on their way toward that Infernal Soul. But if they can make this Baron Siege count, they might not even need to wait those 5 minutes, Cubby. These team fights are fully on the side of Maryville at this point. Samira be damned.
I mean, Silas and Malachi are pretty much just non-factors this game with how far behind they got, just due to how the game script went. And it's going to take a pick coming out of Rovex Simps to try and find something. Maybe they try and set up a play in their side of the jungle. I really can't think of another way they can come back in this one, Smacks.
I really don't see it either. Of course, they are playing this full melee champion comp again. And those comps really do need at least one member to really, really start snowballing. Again, you think
Smacks.
that it is Frosty Nomad, but I don't know.
Smacks, you got it wrong. Samira is melee plus ranged, all right? Come on.
Ah, true.
Come on. As if she wasn't broken enough. She's looking pretty balanced this game, I got to say. She's had some, like, her dueling Lucian when she's down 3 levels. That concerns me a bit. But besides that, looking pretty balanced.
Yeah, the team fights haven't quite landed there from Andy Bendy. We haven't seen a giant Inferno trigger quite yet. But that's the rapid fire cannon hit from the Senna. He's looking for another one right now. He's going to get it. My goodness, the crits.
I don't think you give Evan Senna in the next match. Like, I think it just kind of neutralizes that bot lane, and he is doing disgusting work on this champion. Evan, calm down over there. You're going off too hard.
So, Andy Benny must not know this, but you can wind wall that one. But here we go, another fight. They're trying to find Spearaxe. He does go down in the end. The dashes aren't enough. The taunt down onto Dinka too. He tends someone to the death realm. It is the Galio. I think he's got to be dead, but the Hecarim is what we actually got to be looking at. He finds one, he finds two. This might be the end of the game. They still have the Baron, Cubby. They don't even need the Lucian at this point. If they can kill everyone else, it's only a Silas, and he only has Zonias and GLP. He's not doing anything. You've got the Baron minions.
Man, playing 4 melees into Mordekaiser and Hecarim does not feel good, as looks like we have cleanup coming in from Maryville B. They're going to take this game too, send us to a game 3.
Did you see it right there, Cubby? He got Inferno Trigger for a fraction of a second right there. He did cast it in a team fight, but it's absolutely not enough at all. 8 deaths this time for Andy Bendy, and that's a very, very quick victory to bring Maryville back into the series. It is 1-1.
We have ourselves a match as 2 red side victories so far in this one, and 2 games that have looked rather dominant from each side, I have to say. Rovex Simps, very controlled objective gameplay, played through bot in the last one. Maryville started to get ahead when they started the brawl out, shut that game down really fast once they got the Baron. Game 3, these guys like to play fast. Gonna have to see what kind of changes they make in the draft to see who can get the advantage.
Yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better series here, Cubby. We are going to that game number 3. Our pets were correct. We were right to follow them. We'll see if they can completely follow through with Rovex Simps taking it in the end. What have we got? All right, gotcha. But yeah, but Cubby, you already mentioned it here, but Samira not looking all that strong in this instance.
I think it was more of playing 4 melees into Mordekaiser and Hecarim really, really bad. And so I like the draft adjustments that Maryville had coming out, because into Malachi, into Galio, those champions, like, yeah, Galio can kind of give Hecarim a rough time, but just ultimate wave, Mordekaiser, he's out of the fight, right? Can't bring any CC to the table. So I like the adjustments Maryville B made. I'm not sold on the Samira pick, especially in this one. That said, we know it's a good champion. I just think that there are a lot of good answers across the board that Maryville B had, and more importantly, they played well in the game too. We saw them making proactive plays, attacking things on the map, and I want to see more of that in the next one as well.
Yeah, we already mentioned it for Julian too, but his improvement here from game number 1 to game number 2 was palpable. We saw it before our very eyes. He just wasn't dying this time, and he was stopping everyone's recalls, being so annoying on this Rakan. And as for common players ourselves, I'm sure that was a sigh of relief seeing
Game
Julian
1,
really step
7
into his zone.
deaths. Game 2, stop 70 recalls. Easy.
True. Very, very true. And Evan Earl on this center, we already talked about that one too. What a performance. He's going to
Take
need
it
to
away from him, man.
get that
He's a
one
beast.
banned away if you are Rovex's Simps. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. But for now, we're going to take it to a quick break so we can get into the third and final game of Maryville B versus Rovex's Simps. Do not go anywhere. This match is on fire.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Matt Cubby Samuelson, back with Sam Smack Side. We're about to get into Game 3 of Maryville B versus Rovex Simps, but first, I'm going to be eating a cough drop, and Smack's going to be opening a box.
That I am. You got it right here. Oh, it's backwards. There it is. It is the Ezreal Nendoroid figure. I've gotten the tape thing off, and here we go. Let's dive right into this. Let's see what this is all about. I paid a clean like $15 for this because it was on really big sale. So, oh, all right. So this is immediately pretty freaky, I will say. I'm gonna put the box down there. So first of all, we do have Ezreal. He's right here, but there's an extra face for him. He has an extra face, which is just at the bottom there. This is everything that's in here. Let's try putting this together. So looks like everything is kind of taped down.
Got some Game of Thrones crap going on here.
Yeah, so there is a lot of tape, which is the first thing that I'm noticing. Lots and lots of Scotch tape involved in the packaging process for the Ezreal.
You can get through that, Smacks.
Yeah, I think I can do this. Ooh, we got his we got a true shot barrage going. That's pretty cool. That just kind of fell out of the box. I'm not
Smacks,
very.
I'm halfway through my cough drop, and we're halfway through the elevator music. You're gonna have to start,
Okay.
after it.
Let's get to the meat and the potatoes. Here is Ezreal. Here, let me untape it. Oh, whatever. There he is. Look at him. He's so cute. Little Ezreal. Working his magic. Yeah, and then of course the extra face. This is absolutely terrifying. Actually, this kind of looks like Travesty's mask, right here. If I just put this over my head. There we go. Now I'm Travesty.
Wow.
Look at that.
Okay.
All right. Hyper liked that joke, by the way. You guys can't hear him, but Hyper
And that
really
has
liked
been-
that joke.
That has been eating a cough drop with Cubby and unboxing a box with Smacks.
Yeah. There we
I
go.
don't know if we're ever going to run that bit again, but we did it.
Yeah, tune in next time when I have the Ezreal figure completely put together and there's no just stray face somewhere. Yeah, with that, I do believe, Cubby, that we are ready to get things started up again. We are getting into the third and final game for this series in the Infernal group. And we got some big dogs here at the top of the Infernal group right here, Cubby. Rovex's Simps and Maryville, of course, going into this series, both undefeated, both of them at match point now. One game now determines which one of them remains undefeated.
I'm just stuck on the fact you said two big dogs, where we had a big horse in the last game, and you also are a cat person. Throwing that out there.
Well, dogs
Really
are
throwing me off.
overall bigger than cats. I think my cat might be bigger than your dog, though, honestly, even though he's just a kitten.
12
Your
pounds?
dog did look pretty small.
12 pounds.
I haven't weighed him recently, but
Okay.
I'm not sure. Okay. Your dog looked pretty small. It was a very cute dog.
She is adorable, but kind of old. She sleeps 20 hours a day.
We share a name too. We're both named Sam, so I have that connection with your dog for sure.
Someone call you Sammy?
Sometimes my mom likes calling me Sammy. My wife sometimes does too. A wife buff, by the way. Again, just by the way, married.
I never knew that until now. So thank you.
There you go. Well, I'm shocked. That is really bad news for me because that tells me that you never listen to me. That's a bad thing to have.
Speaking of never listening, I really hope Cassie's not tuning in right now. That's what straight up why. I apologize. And speaking of cats and dogs, I'd be in the doghouse right now if I said that to her. So moving on. Game 3.
Yeah.
Big
We're
game.
into the drafts, I do believe, as we do have both these teams squared up. I think they did swap sides yet again, as yes, they did. Rovex Simps are back to the red side where they did claim their first victory.
Undefeated.
Maryville back on the blue.
And the red side for Rovex Simps gives them that potential counter pick for Rovex in the mid lane. So could be some more power coming out from them there. That said, I expect the same bans coming on through for the most part. Nidalee going to be taken off the table first. We also saw Orianna taking away from Spearex, is that he is a very talented clockwork player in the mid lane. Talking about the one that, like doesn't throw clocks, that's Zilean. No, we play around with the ball. So that said, I'm curious to see where the swap kind of comes in. I don't think we're going to see more Samira. That said, we do see it on the ban list. So Rovex Simps must think that pick's really strong.
Yeah.
Very high priority on it.
After that last game, I think that it's a little bit weaker than they do, personally. But I do still think it's very good. I think the situation wasn't quite right. But before we get into anything else, Cubby, you've brought up a very, very interesting thing as far as clocks go, and I need to ask this because it's a burning question that I now have.
Okay.
How far, in terms of League of Legends units, do you think that Zilean could throw Orianna?
I'm gonna go with so he has a range of 450 units and he throws those like cogs. I'm gonna go with he could throw the ball 250. I think that he's got some weight. Like if he doesn't use his feet at all, he has to use his arms a little bit more to defy gravity. Orianna, she's made of metal, so I'm gonna go with 15.
Okay.
Like a heave. Yeah, he's got to heave her.
Yeah.
What about you? You thinking differently?
I feel like Zilean is pretty magical. He's a magic man. And he does have all the time in the world. So I feel like given enough time, which he does have plenty of, I think that he could pull off some Uncle Iroh prison buff shenanigans, and I feel like he could throw her pretty far. I'm thinking Malphite ult far.
So what you're saying is that it really just depends on his diet of tea.
That could be true. There are a lot of things in play here, I think, Cubby. But
speaking of
we're getting a little bit too far into this. We got some champions that have been locked in, some Freljordian ones for Rovex's Simps. Is Andy Bendy going to be on that Ashe, and Volibear has been locked in for them. As on the flip side, we do see Lucian yet again for Maryville B.
Yeah, and we talked about, or I shouldn't say we talked about. Well, I guess we kind of did talk about Ashe for Andy Bendy, but also Volibear, I believe, was taken away from in game 1. And so I think he gets his hands on that in game 2. I'm curious to see if this is a better pick for Azo, as he's a very good Maokai player, worked out really well in game 1.
Yeah.
Game 2, really got pushed around by that Mordekaiser.
Of course, it is still possible that pick is going into the jungle, but not particularly likely seeing the trajectory of it in the recent pro matches and things of that nature. They really don't want Volibear to be that good in the jungle. They've nerfed it a lot, but Cubby, I'm hearing a woe from you. I assume it's about the Ziggs.
Yeah, I think it's a woe from Rovex's Simps too, because I'm checking the game chat and Andy Bendy's like, hey, Ziggs is Ziggs. So I think it's Ziggs. And that is going to be Ziggs in the mid lane coming on out for Spearaxe. And this is something that's actually really, really good into Ashe. And so I want to see them try and punish it, maybe pair it with some stuff they can utilize as CC to combine with the Ziggs ult. Ornn is a good start. Looking at the support now.
Yeah, and it is the Braum to counteract that Ornn ultimate too. That's going to be locked in for Chow, and still continuing the Freljordian trend. If this was a team fight tactics comp, they'd be freezing enemies with their attacks. But
yeah, man, they should take
a very
Olaf.
new Volibear for that.
Ban Olaf. Yeah, I still think set one was still my favorite set, by the way. This last set's been really fun though.
I like this new set a lot. I've been having quite a bit of fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
The chosen mechanic is really cool. I'm also quite bad at it. But
Gold 4, where are you at?
One placement game, so bronze-ish.
Oh.
I play normals.
You gotta get grinded. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. If I want to get ranked, I do have one victorious little legend, but because I had gold once, but I haven't done it since. So maybe I'll do it some other time. But Cubby, we do have some bans on the table. Senna finally getting banned.
Senna is being taken away from Evan. Thank God. He has been so good on this champion. But honestly, it's blue side. Things have changed a little bit, opened up. I want to see maybe. It's a possibility. Actually, it's not because they have Ziggs. I was going to say Kindred of Felios, but they have Ziggs. So Probably not going to be the case. Expecting a Ziggs bot to come on out. I think they're going to pair it with something like a Thresh. Really good. It's a winning lane matchup against Braum. You can also use that Lantern to kind of get him out of dodge. And also chain that CC into the bombs and all that good stuff as well. So expect that to be coming out for Julian. Curious to see the jungler though. I think Kindred could still very well be an option here if they wanted to play back a little bit, try and play for some scaling. But a lot of picks on the board. Olaf another option too.
And it is likely going to be an R5 counterpick for Frosty Nomad yet again. Is that real, Cubby? Is that
locked in a Mumu? Oh,
that's really a Mumu.
We talked about lockdown for Ziggs. Why not throw a Curse the Sad Mummy in there? That's a lot of lockdown for Ziggs. So we have the Wombo coming out for Maryville B. Man, this is going to be a fun one for us, Smacks. They're pulling out, digging deep here into their junglers, and Amumu is played. I'm excited.
That's some big team fight booms coming in, Cubby. We got the Call of the Forge God, which, it can get blocked by Braum, but whatever. You got a giant bomb coming your way, a giant curse, and a pretty good-looking guy running around and charming you up, too. So all the while getting shot by Lucian. I'm seeing some big explosions coming out from Maryville B's team fighting, but for Rovex, they've got some more single target things going on. I'm looking specifically at this Akali, and the Gragas is that counter pick in the jungle.
I actually like Gragas a lot here, just trying to split up the fight and trying to utilize displacement skills onto Ziggs can be very strong, as they did pair it with Rakan, not Thresh, once again, trying to go for that full wombo. I feel like Maryville is just trying to go for, the montage clip coming out in this one, but it might work for them, right? Because they at least have a balance of AD and AP. They have a lot of lockdown. It's just going to be, can they get out of this early game? And Maryville must have looked at that roster and said, yes, we can. We're taking these picks. And it's going to be really difficult for this Akali in these fights to try and get on that backline. As you mentioned, Smacks, they're very single target focused, but it's tough to move around in the fight and get down that damage that you need to get down on Akali when you're trying to fight in the Curse of the Sad Mummy.
Yeah, the Amumu is particularly very good against Akali. Nearly everything, actually everything can hit Akali while she's in stealth. It is a little bit more difficult to hit that Q, but everything else, very, very easy. Just stand in the middle, just press all your buttons. She's getting hit by something. And
yeah, I think that very, big R radius, it's like this big. Like that, I can definitely fit the Shroud, which is like this big. Yeah.
But
I hope that
the Shroud starts this big, but then it gets to be this big.
Oh, so then, but a Mumu ult is still this big.
A Mumu ult is still this big. So we're getting word from our producer Hyper that a Mumu ult is this big, and a Kali Shroud is exactly the same as this big.
I love how seriously Hyper's taking this. We're just drawing with our
drawing circles. We're drawing a whole lot of circles, but that's what Maryville really want to do. They've got some big circles. They've got the Rakan, the Ziggs, the Amumu. They are really looking to turn this series around.
Ah, that's a good one, Smacks. Yeah, and while they're looking for that big wombo, I think it's very similar to what we saw in game 1 from Rovex to Simps, right? They have to play fast, they have to get ahead, and if they are the ones pulling the trigger on this team, they can blow up the Lucian, they can blow up the Ziggs, they can try and knock down Julian on this Rakan. So I really want to see them try and take the initiative, try and find these fights with these Enchanted Crystal arrows, with these Gragas Flash Body Slam into Cask. They have the power to do it. It's just going to be on them to pull the trigger, because if they miss on any of these opportunities, it is so difficult to fight into all this protection they have for Evan or on Ziggs.
Cubby, another thing that I've realized looking at this screen of the draft is that Rovex's Simps have again drafted the same number of melee champions. They have 4 of them again, which I think is hilarious. But Andy Bendy's not having it this time. He's not even partially a melee champion. He does have that Ashe that he worked so well on in game number 1. Now this time, Frosty Nomad, he's much less of an assassin. He does not have that single target burst, but I really like what you mentioned, that he does have so much team fight disruption in this game. And that's going to be very, very valuable in a situation like this where all these circles are coming in. The Gragas circle, very, very good at stopping other circles from stacking up on top of each other and getting some crazy Venn diagram situations. So I like that pick quite a lot from Frosty Nomad. And if you can drop it in the middle of the Akali circle too, then she is just all the more happy.
Yeah, I feel like if it was like the right audience, it's a good time for like nothing circles the wagons, Buffalo Bills, but I don't know how many people would get that reference in here. That said, if you do, props to you for knowing some NFL. If you don't, just more circle jokes. That's fine. But that said, I mean, I always like when different strategies go up against each other, and I think that we've had that so far in this series, and I feel like this is the game where it's really different, right? Because we do not see a Mumu jungle. And honestly, we don't see a lot of Gragas jungle anymore. But it's really going to be like, can Rovex's Simps pull the trigger? Can they keep up pace? And can they utilize their tempo to find picks, snowball that into objectives and get their win that way? Or can Maryville slow the game down, try and find these elaborate 5v5s and land these big team fight ultimates that they possess to really just blow up what is a somewhat squishy team from Rovex Simps?
Yeah, and I really like that for Maryville B, yes, they do have these unorthodox picks in the Amumu, and you could say the Ziggs too in the bot lane. They still have their two players who were really hot in game 2 on the same champions in game number 3. Spearx's Lucian, Julian's Rakan. They looked so much better in game 2 than they did in game 1. They're riding that high. They're taking that momentum going to the final game. See if they can do that some more and lead their team to another victory, even with all the unorthodox circles coming on down. I'm really excited to see if they can do it because Lucian and Rakan, two of my favorite champions in the whole game. And this series, you can feel the sizzle. You can feel the sizzle on the pan while watching it.
If there's bacon involved, I'm in. That's yeah, big fan.
That's some good bacon. But with that, Cubby, I'm gonna go get myself some bacon actually right now, just real quick, and you guys should too, because we got a quick little break before we get into the third and final game between these two titans of the Infernal Group, Maryville B and Rovex's Simps. Don't go anywhere. We will return in just a couple minutes.
disconnected.
Welcome back, Upsurge fans, Amumu fans, and fans of League of Legends. We are back with game number 3 between Maryville B and Rovex Simps. My name is Smax. His name is Cubby, and we're here for game 3.
My name is Matt, but I go by Cubby, so it's fine. But that said, we've got ourselves a game 3 here in what has been a very tightly contested, and I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited to see the finish to this one. Especially when we have an Amumu, and oh my gosh, is it someone's birthday on the Rift?
I think it must be, because we're getting a surprise party in this topside jungle in the Braum chair throne at Dinka. And I think that everyone's just going to back away.
Now, I'm getting some stats in my ear from our lovely producer, Hyper. Amumu's been picked competitively 16 times since 2013. The record, it varies. Not a champion that we see a lot, but Kind Jungle must have something up his sleeve, because the 18% win rate, he didn't see that stat. He's ignoring that one, as we do have an invade coming in here, and I like this play coming out, utilizing the power of Ash Braum level 1.
Ooh. But You know who's the big winner right here? Even if they successfully get this invade, it is Evan RL because he is plus 25 on his Mana Flow Band stacks right there. That
This
is
is true.
huge.
Frosty also
Huge.
smiting that is going to hurt his clear a little bit. He could have taken that one without a problem, but instead going to throw the smite down. And curious to see how Azo does in this. Is a winning matchup for the Volibear. Ornn obviously does outscale, helps out the rest of his team. But Volibear can maybe push around Dink a little bit in this top side.
I like that Azo has gone for the Grasp the Undying too, because you know that Dink is going to do that. It is a melee matchup for the Ornn. You do like getting those extra health stacks up. I like that Azo has gone for that, and I like that a lot of bruisers are going for that rune now too, because it does just give you so much extra sustain in the lane, and he's got the sustain from the Grasp the Undying. He's got the sustain from his W. He's got mana sustain too, because he's going for the Doran's Ring, Cubby.
Yeah, it really empowers that E as well in the lane. Not only the damage, but the shield you get too. So, gonna probably be putting a lot of points into that ability early. Maybe a few extra ones. We'll keep you posted. That said, he does have a lot of push in this matchup, and that should open things up for the Gragas. That said, speaking of push, Spirax bullying around Rovex in this mid lane, once again playing Lucian into a melee, doing rather well.
Yeah. Ooh, look at all this damage into Dinka's face. He's got a Searing Charge away right there, but still taking the chips from the Volibear passive. But yeah, both of these guys, the Volibear and the Lucian for Azo and Spirax respectively, pushing this around. And oh, Frosty. He's going to find Spirax right there. The barrel is down.
Phase
Spirax
rush.
have his dash? I'm not quite sure, but he's going to use it right now. The bonk on the noggin. He's walking into a Braum. Just gets walked down. But in the meantime, Andy Bendy gets hit with the Amumu Q. There he goes.
Happy birthday to the ground as Kind Jungle lands that Q. Sends Andy Bendy straight to the ground as
The flash Q from Kind Jungle. He's continuing forward, but Chow has the flash in response. Can he stay alive? He's very, very low, but the turret is stealing so much damage early on. Does get taken down, and Kind Jungle gets another kill on this Amumu Jungle.
The Amumu's cracked. He's 2-0. He's going insane. I'm actually kind of curious to see what Kind Jungle ends up doing here. I assume this means a faster Cinder Hulk, but you can always go Leandri's second item. It's not too bad on Amumu if he's really feeling frisky, and he is ahead, very far behind in camps. Going to lose his top side jungle for that, but hey, getting those 2 kills and getting your Ziggs ahead in the bot lane, I'd rather have my gold there.
You know, Cubby, let me tell you an Amumu story real quick. Amumu is the first and only champion in the game that my wife Cassidy has played at all. It is her favorite by a long shot, and she loves him so much.
I want to make a joke about him having no friends, but that story is way too wholesome.
It is wholesome, isn't it? She just loves being friends with Amumu. We are getting word from Hyper that Samira finds Amumu adorable, but I'm not surprised by that at all, because
who knew that?
I also find Amumu adorable, and so does Cassidy.
He's got a birthday candle. How can you not find that adorable?
Yeah, we are good Amumu friends, and she loves him so much that when his new skin comes out during one of the next few patches, I'm not sure which one, but he turns into a little pumpkin guy. Cassidy told me to just get the skin, even though I don't play him that much, so I gotta do it.
You have been gifted the right to spend money on League. You must say yes. You must say yes.
I'm going to say yes, because I like that skin a lot. It's very cute. And it looks like Kind Jungle is also liking Amumu because he's already got 2 kills on him. He's not farming too well, but those 2 kills are going to make up for that quite well. He's equal in the experience range of Frosty Nomad on this Gragas, even though he also has all of his kills, all the kills on his team.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're seeing the strength of the Ziggs in the bot lane all the while.
Yeah, so Ziggs is something that I was actually trying to promote to some of the SGC teams throughout the season because you can flex it, and it's also very good into Ashe, as looks like Azo's going to utilize that ult to get some health bar advantage in the bot lane. And you can see, I mean, the Ashe has a lot of trouble moving, and just given all of the abilities the Ziggs have, he does have some displacement. He also has the power. Oh, never mind. Frosty Nomad
Ooh, that's going to be the flash from Julian, respecting the body slam flash of Frosty Nomad. Of course, that is going to come on in, but so is the teleport from Spirax.
Oh!
The culling.
Oh!
Oh, the W is not enough. It does not hit Andy Bendy, but now we're seeing an Akali in the mix. Spirax does go down. Can Rovex do the same?
Oh!
He finds a kill. He flashes away. Frosty Nomad over the wall. He does get a bonk down, a shutdown over to him, and that's a 3-for-0. What a turnaround from Rovex's Simps.
Oh, so much gutsy play coming out from them. Gragas able to pick up a kill at the end. Not to mention Rovex diving in pretty much 1v4s. Gragas wasn't there. Out with a kill and his life. Also going to deny that wave from Lucian. And this is an issue because Lucian should have priority in this lane. But if Akali gets ahead at all, she can really pressure this matchup. And with that kill, the 2 assists and denying a lot of that XP from Lucian too. Rovex is sitting pretty in this mid lane. He has that health bar advantage. And once he gets this gunblade, this Lucian is going to be under siege.
Still going to be down in minions, but that roam to the bot lane is well worth it at this stage of the game. He did hit level 7 first, so he's going to be at this experience advantage. He's going to catch this wave too. Maybe that brings him all the way up to level 8. He's feeling amazing on this Akali, and I like that you mentioned the early game being so important for Akali too, because it absolutely is. As soon as you get that gunblade, that's really when Akali starts to come online, and before that, you're just lucky to find any sort of advantage. But when you participate in 3 kills back-to-back, that is more than enough to get you toward that item spike.
Yeah, Rovex off to a good start. He is still down in CS, but that kill should make up for it, and how this matchup plays out should be just fine. That said, Maryville B, they say, screw these lanes. We're going to go take the Rift Herald.
They do not care if Rovex's Simps know about their roles, that lane swap that they're going for, because
Did they just walk through mid menacingly?
They did. They absolutely did. I watched it with my own 2 eyes, and now they're up top.
Wow, just alpha
very,
move
very bold move, honestly.
Yeah.
But they've done it, and I mean,
this
is still Ziggs. You have a lot of zone control with those Hextech mines, so I like. Oh. Gonna have to use that knock-up, both of them from both champions, to dissuade the further advances from Rovex's Simps, and it's worked. They've gotten out of that.
Gotta say, Dinka going for refillable here. Pretty curious. Usually don't see that one out of Ornn, as obviously he likes to build items when he's not in base. Refillable, you need the base to get the strength out of that one. So maybe that's something that's very matchup dependent that he knows that I don't. That said, with these lanes put all topsy-turvy, things are a little bit awkward, and Kind Jungle getting bullied around here.
And we do see the Rift Herald started up
he?
by the side of Rovex's Simps, but the fight begins with the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Here's the teleport from Dinka. He has his ultimate, but there's the Rakan engaged to dissuade them. The perfect execution. The jungler's dead. I didn't see who got the Herald, but Azo doesn't care. He's in the middle of everyone, forced to flash away.
Andy.
The health bars are blinking on everyone, but Andy Bendy's got the slows, and there's the barrel. It was Frosty who picked up that Herald. They get 2 kills and the objective. Rovex's Simps are taking the advantage in strides.
Yeah, it feels like Maryville B, they're trying to pull the trigger a little bit too quick. Yes, they find Andy Bendy with the Amumu Ziggs combo, but no one else was there to follow up. They could have waited for Dinka to come before Kind Jungle went in. Maybe that was the damage they needed to take down the Ashe, but instead, play gets turned on them. They end up going down, and Rovex's Simps cracked open a nice 2K gold lead, not to mention the Dragon and the Rift Herald that now sits on the Fat Man, taking the Fat Frog.
Yeah, that's the downside of being so brazen with your lane swaps right there. You give the enemy team such a giant window to prepare and take away that objective that you were hoping to get with the swap. And Rovex Simps, they do that wonderfully. They hop over the wall with Frosty Nomad and Chow. They get that objective, and they start off the fight on their terms. They even have Andy Bendy arriving a little bit late, but it doesn't quite matter because everyone's still staying alive for them. So this is the kind of early game that we saw out of game number 1, and if it goes the same way, then Rovex's Simps might end up with that 2-1.
Yeah, they're looking good now. Rovex, you can see all this pressure he's putting down the mid lane. Doesn't have that gunblade yet, but with the revolver with the gunblade and the sword shoes looking pretty good as Chow.
This is an engage onto Chow. He's very bulky on this Braum, and Mumu Rakan, they're a one-way ticket once you go in. Not going to find anything, as this Braum is just far too tanky. He even has the stasis, so he was very, very safe.
Yeah, he's a big man with a big mustache. He can be in that river. He knows he belongs there.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say about that. You're just right. Braum. He's just
Spirex
the
is
best.
dead. Oh, no.
Spearax, he might be dead. Oh,
Kind Jungle's
as
here to
Frosty
support.
Nomad,
Frosty might be in trouble.
yeah, trying to find something. He's gonna get knocked up and taken down with all the shots. Little antsy there from Frosty Nomad. He thought that, well, he's not the big man with the mustache. He's got a full beard, so he can't be
That's
dead.
true. Yeah, I thought that Spirex was going to go down because Rovex hit that E, but Amumu was there to protect him. Obviously, you cannot take the E with Amumu there. You get double stunned under the tower. And Frosty Nomad didn't get the memo. He said, I want to go play my Oktoberfest music in bass. That's the best skin. That music just makes it.
Oh, it's really good.
Yeah.
I really like the Arctic Ops one because I like the sounds on
That's
it.
the cheater skin. You can't
It
see
is
the
the cheater
barrel.
skin too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I spent my good or hard-earned RP on it. I deserve to be able to use it.
This is true. That said, I do appreciate the music on the Oktoberfest and also, the reference to some good old Oktoberfest brews as well, which actually, fun fact, doesn't take place in October. It takes place in September over in Germany. Not a lot of people know that.
They do spell October wrong, so it's meant to be misleading, I think. They spell it with a K, so.
Yeah, no one saw that from Frosty. He might have had a little bit too much to drink.
Yeah, I certainly didn't see that one.
Yeah, no.
I blinked. I know you all in chat blinked for that one too, so it's okay. We don't even know what we're talking about, really.
Yeah, no. I mean, honestly, we should be doing a better job with this one, Smacks. We're misleading them.
Yeah, we really are.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the spot lane, the benefits of that lane swap success are coming in with that Rift Herald, but that's the stasis coming in from Chow. I don't think he's going to be able to get out of this, though, but Spearaxe taken very, very low. Perfect execution. Wait, Chow's alive? He got out! Perfect execution still online for Rovex. Forced the flash out of Julian. He's in the stealth. He does get hit by the mines, and there's the bomb to delay him further. Kind Jungle's here. He doesn't have the Curse of the Sad Mummy, but he doesn't have the turret either. That's 3k gold advantage for Rovex's Simps and another kill.
He went golden smacks. That's how Chow gets out, and they're able to turn that one around. And this gold lead just keeps on growing, and we see the potential of the Ziggs pick coming out, right? We see the damage that Evan has been able to do, combined with the lockdown, landing that AoE damage because Ziggs can really pump it out, but it just isn't enough at this point. They need to get Ziggs more farm. They need for him to hyperscale. For him to really work in this match, you need to be at least at 10 CS a minute minimum. With all the fighting going on and the few oopsies they've had, hasn't been able to hit that mark, falling a little bit behind off the curb. They need time. That's what Maryville needs right now. They need maybe Zillion time.
And one thing I want to note here for Spearaxe too is that last game we had an excuse ready for him to not go for the Manamune. I don't have one this time. I feel like Manamune would be way better than the Essence Reaver in this one. I don't know. Do you have a second excuse, Cubby?
It fits the game script for them, which is why I like Manamune a little bit better. I mean, it's really personal preference coming out for the Lucian. Like, every build that you go has pros and cons, right? It's not like he's straight up like trolling going Essence Reaver. So my guess is that he fell behind and wanted to maintain his early power. Maybe he got a good base where he got a BF sword. That's sometimes all it takes to flip-flop. I still think that the Manamune into the Essence Reaver is a very strong build, and really when Lucian spikes and feels good. But that said, I don't think these guys care about my thoughts. We're making a plan to dink it.
Ooh, the knockback is going to be voided by the Unstoppable. Very nicely done by Dinka. Now it's going to be on Kind Jungle to find the re-engage. Can't quite get into the entire team with the Curse of the Sad Mummy, but they're coming to him. They do find all the stun. Rakan is trying to barrel in, but it's too late. Akali's wreaking havoc. Now Julian in the middle of everyone. They find the Braum this time, but it's a huge cost. 3 for 1.
Yeah, the only way this team comp works is if they're able to group as 5. These skirmishes, it's where the Akali and the Gragas thrive, right? It comes up huge in these fights, and they're really showing it as Maryville just not on the same page in this one. They need to group up as 5. As long as they're split up, Rovex and Simps will continue to win the skirmishes, and I like the way they're playing this one out. They're doing a very good job of splitting up the map, giving themselves windows to attack, and not only that, they're doing it at the right times because, look, that kill, not only does it turn into a tower, but it also turns into a herald.
It absolutely does, and that's going to turn into another tower. So it's multiple of those later on down the line. And Cubby, I want to mention this. This is finally showing us why Rovex is the team's namesake here. 504 on the Akali, keeping up in CS and experience with Spear Axe and just devastating these fights. As you mentioned, skirmishes are Akali's natural environment. That's where she thrives. That's exactly where you want to be. And those 5 kills, 4 assists are a product of exactly that. So this is working out wonders for Rovex and the rest of his simps, as now the name makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, and this is big trouble for the side of Maryville B2, because when you look at the scoreboard, it's like, oh, it's like 1 item and a half to 1 item and a half. Lucian should be okay in a side lane against Akali. That's not the case at all. This is when Akali is very strong in the game and really excels in those 1v1s. So as long as Rovex finds a side lane, I don't think there's anyone on the side of Maryville B that can match her. And if she's able to find these angles in team fights too, it's going to be wreaking havoc.
Certainly not at this stage, but I believe I just heard the Rift Herald popped in the jungle. I am not sure if that was a mistake, but
now they're going to be using it to get mid pressure. Yeah.
Yeah, it is still there. It seems a little bit mistimed because the Drake hadn't quite spawned. It is alive now, but now they're not using it as a diversion at all, and it didn't quite get the turret. It feels a little bit clunky to me, but maybe Rovex Simps knows something I don't here.
No,
they do
I'd
have
agree.
the extra bot lane pressure with the Akali.
I'm with you, Smacks. You're a big brain cover caster as well. You can smell that one out when it's something smells fishy. I don't know if Shelly counts as fish, but a little bit off. That said, because of the strength of oh, never mind.
Ooh. Look
Flash
at that
one.
flash at Andy Bendy. That's the reflexes that you gotta have if you are against these lockdown champions, the Kind Jungle and Julian. Well, Kind Jungle doesn't have to use his ultimate there, but the quickness was popped.
It's a good flash, but he didn't need to be there and blow that summoner, right? Like, they aren't really able to pressure this tower quite yet. And so, and it's a good point from Maryville, right? They trade an ultimate for a flash. They're going to be able to punish that once they get that ultimate back, much to the cooldown, obviously. Meanwhile, we do have an arrow going out. They're trying to stop that base.
The arrow is coming.
Oh,
it does not connect, but it did do what it needed. Stop the base, and Rovex is on his way. He's on the hunt. He has blown the culling. He's got Rovex to about 60% HP, but he's got a lot of sustain, and there's the perfect execution. You can hit him now. You already used the culling. That's a 6th kill for Rovex. Easy as pie.
Yeah, he is really fed, and we talked about how you can't deal with Akali in a side lane. Maryville B playing a dangerous game, pushing up past that river. It gets punished that time by some nice team play coming out from the side of Rovex's Simps. Rovex being the benefactor of that. As long as they're in this situation, at the moment, Voldabear beats Ornn. Akali cannot be matched by anyone. This 1-3-1, it's the same game script as game 1, right? They just play all 3 lanes with the monster objectives down. They get more gold. They group for the monster objectives. They use that gold lead to bully out the team fight team.
And it's absolutely working wonders. They just have a little bit under 4 minutes until that will be the payoff if they can get the soul, of course. But on the side of Maryville, that's their anti-win condition. They need to stop that from happening, and a giant explosive team fight is exactly what they need. We've seen it from them a little bit. We've seen slight glimpses in that bot lane in particular where they have used their ultimates to some success, but we haven't seen the giant explosion quite yet. Of course, Rovex's Simps are doing a great job at denying that away, but for Maryville, they desperately need something like that to happen, and it needs to happen soon.
Yeah, and a lot of that has been the skirmishes, and you can see the benefactor of these skirmishes. It's been Rovex. Rovex is a monster in this game, and he's not going to be able to be stopped. So in this one, something else I just want to point out, really kind of a cute thing coming out of Andy Bendy, actually. I like the Essence Reaver build this game. You don't necessarily need Bork to match the Ziggs. If you utilize, your right clicks well enough, you can dodge out on his skill shots, not take the damage. It's more arrows for plays like this.
The flashes over the wall secure Evan RL's death. This is the giant explosion we were hoping to see, but it's on the wrong side. Frosty Nomad's going to lock that one down. He's in the middle of nowhere now, though, but he's a tanky Gragas. He's got the dash to get out. That's clean 2 kills. They're looking for more. They're trying to find Dinka. He dashes away. Still an Ornn. He's still rather tanky, even without his upgrades. And It's just going to push them off, get some more pressure and a little bit more gold. The first death for Evan this game.
Yeah, Evan being caught out. The team's vision setup wasn't quite there. Nice play from Rovex's Simps to sneak in there, utilize the flash to pull off a nice engage. 2 flashes, by the way, but good setup coming out from them, and takes away more summoners from the side of Maryville B for this upcoming Dragon fight, which it's Ocean Soul. We haven't brought up the fact they're on Soul Point yet, but yeah, they're on Soul Point. Rovex and Simps doing a good job of snowballing this one once again, and you got to think Ocean Soul into this teamfight team, Maryville B. Yes, they can come back from it, but they would need so much time, and Rovex and Simps seem to not be slowing down at all.
I don't know if you saw that, Cubby, but Evan did not get the blue buff. That was Kai in jungle, who unfortunately stole that away from him.
That's tragic.
So the Ziggs assaults will not be coming as frequently
That's a big deal.
For as long.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah, he is very mana reliant. Also, something I really want to see is he needs all the jungle camps that he can get, right? We talked about how the Ziggs needs to be accelerated. He needs more farm, and the fact that Rovex and Simps have really shrunk the map for Maryville B. They're starting to deny these camps away from the Ziggs and the rest of the squad. Once again, just padding their lead even more. Now, TP is being burned. We have 40 seconds till Dragon smacks. What are you looking for from these guys in this fight? How can Maryville B come back?
They really need to find the Amumu bandage toss onto a priority member, but it's going to be tough because the engage is coming on in again. It does land, and there is the ultimate, but the bomb just does not connect, and none of it hits onto Andy Bendy. They're still going in. There's the flank from Rovex. The Ornn ultimate is popped. The perfect execution keeps him inside the shroud. He's going to be able to get on out of that one, and it's the opposite of what Maryville B wanted. Their jungler is the one who gets picked. Even after using the teamfight ultimate, Cubby, it might be too late for the teamfights.
I mean, that's Ocean Soul. It's gone, right? Your jungler is off the map. You can't even walk into contest. You are now staring down Ocean Soul, and I mean, these guys scale, but they need so much time to get there, and it's just something that Rovex Simps is not going to allow at all. Once Enchanted Crystal Arrow is back off cooldown, Andy Benny is going to be looking for another target just to snipe. He's been doing a very good job of sitting mid, landing these arrows, and really pressuring the side of Maryville B.
Not only are Maryville down in gold and experience, they are now forced to buy healing reduction on their side. That Bramble Vest for Dinka is not going to cut it. You got to spend that 800 on Spearex to get the healing reduction, because now you are up against Ocean Soul on all 5 members. And Evan RL, he's gone for this burst build. He needs more cooldown reduction because he's not getting the blue buff. Of course, if he gets the next one, then it might not matter nearly as much, but he still needs to finish his boots. Morellonomicon is just not in the picture, so we're seeing Spearex. He does already spend that 800 gold, but he would have liked to spend that on something else, you got to imagine.
Now, good news for the side of Maryville B. We do have a death cap completed. Death Crown should be incoming rather soon, as we do have access to some ornaments coming in now. Could buff up Infinity Edge to Molten Edge, but I have to think that Death Crown has to be the target, as Volbear is just going to casually stroll on out of here.
Yeah, he
just stole the bacon from your campfire camp.
Yeah, but the big jungle camp is under assault right now by 3 members of Rovex's Simps. We do see Julian. He's going to scout this out. On the way, he does have that ward. He has the flank as well. This is what Maryville B wants. Everyone's grouped up. They have the ultimates available, but it is going to be a disengage for Rovex's Simps. Very smart of them to disengage. It's the only way that they could possibly lose a fight is if they get engaged on.
All right, they chicken out. A bit of a heat check on the Baron. I like the fact they disengage. Smacks, as you intelligently pointed out, it's one of the only ways they can lose, right? And they just regain all that health back from the Ocean Soul. But I also like the fact they're trying to pull them in, because if they take any missteps, Rovex was playing bodyguard. He's so strong in the Sakali. He's not going to be able to be taken down easily.
Oh, Julian. He's been spotted out by Azo. He does have the assistance of Dinka, just using him as a springboard to get on out of the range of the Volibear. I like that a lot. Just helping out your supports. Support the support. You gotta help it. Gotta help it.
All right, deep breath. We have resets coming in. Whew. Now, another win condition for Maryville is to stall this one out until Elder. which is something that I do not think Rovex and Simps won a coin flip with a 6K gold lead and Ocean Soul.
Very true.
However, if it does go to a coin flip, it's a 50-50 for Elder Soul, which is pretty good. So, yeah, you got to think Maryville B may be playing for that as well. Time is their friend. We do see the Death Crown coming in. Another level for Ornn is a Molten Edge for Lucian. That's probably when they might be able to take a fight. They're still going to be at a significant deficit, but at least they're going to be a little bit stronger for that.
You got to imagine that all it would take is one huge fight. As Kind Jungle
we're going on this?
advantage toss. Don't think this is the trigger for it, but I feel like one fight, that's really all it needs for them to bring the momentum back around. They have the ultimates to do exactly that. Of course, the Ornn can get stuffed out, but it's very difficult to stop the Rakan and the Amumu too. So we'll have to see if Rovex's Simps make the mistake of grouping up and being in range of it. But so far, Rovex has done a phenomenal job at splitting the attention with his Shroud. What a annoying tool to have to deal with. But Azo has no such luck. He is still in the thick of everyone. He's going under the turret. He's going to turn it off with his ulti. And Maryville B, no. This is the trigger for Rovex to start up the Baron. Kind Jungle is on the
bodyguard.
No, he's nowhere near it. Here's Rovex playing that bodyguard like you mentioned, Cubby. The teleport's coming in, though. Dinka is going to be here. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb. Rovex is going to find Evan, though. He might be able to find this assassination. The Ignite is down. The shielding is here. Can Rovex get over the wall? He can. That's still... They've turned off the Baron. Azo is here now, too. They're going to re-engage this Kind Jungle. He can't quite find his ultimate angle. He does get one down, but everyone's too tanky. There's the Gragas Barrel to bring it on home. The Ocean Soul is barely keeping everyone alive. Julian and Dinka, it's up to them to stay alive. Dinka still there, but the flash forward with Andy Bendy finding a triple kill, Cubby. They don't even need the Baron. It's a 5-for-0.
Okay, they at least get an inhib there. Here, do they go for the game? We have Zig spawning in 13 seconds. They have a huge wave. They might think about it. This could be the game, Smacks.
It absolutely could. The death timers are long, though, except for Evan. He's up in 3 seconds. He is the wave clear tool. Can he get up and drop the bombs? One turret down. He's throwing them, but they're hitting the shield. That's 2 turrets down. Kind Jungle has already used his ultimate. Nobody's able to be locked down. The Nexus is falling, and Rovex's Simps have taken the series. They remain undefeated against Maryville B.
Smacks, what a clean game. 1 and 3 from Rovex's Simps, and Smacks, the pets were right.
The pets were right, and so were we.
Right.
We were right to trust them, Cubby. Genius pets. I didn't mention it, but while we were in that game, Cassidy opened the door, and Patroclus came booking it in. He was up here. And
he knew it.
He knew. He's like, I'm just checking in to see if I'm right. All right, I'm right. I'm going back out.
Yeah.
So he came here to gloat.
Yeah, my dog is napping after her long day of work from napping 8 to 4. So we're gonna have to go congratulate her on the win, maybe give her another treat, but that's big time. 2-1 coming in. And hey, I mean, jokes aside, not that we're joking, we're very serious about the pets being smart. But what a win for Rovex's Simps and asserting some dominance. Yes, it's the B team of Maryville, but that's Colombia's roster, and a lot of strength being shown by them to take a 2-1, take those red side wins, play out the 1-3-1 comps really well with the skirmishes, and a lot of strength coming out from these guys.
I absolutely love what they've done with Frosty Nomad too. He's getting the counter pick in both red side games, and he's using these unconventional picks in the meta. He's playing the Kazakhs, he's playing the Gragas, but it's working wonders. He's able to carry in both of these games. Of course, in the last one, it was a little bit more Rovex than Frosty Nomad, but still 6-1-8 on the Gragas, wreaking havoc in these team fights. And we did not see the big team fight explosion out of Maryville that we were wanting to, because Frosty Nomad and Chow on this Braum just denying everything.
Skirmishing. I mean, that's how you beat the 5v5, right? It's you take these skirmishes, and I thought that Rovex's Simps did an outstanding job of finding those skirmishes, making sure that they were able to, take the 2v2s and 3v3s that they knew they could win. Not to mention that huge outplay they had in the bot lane, where I think every member of that team really stepped up and made a sick mechanical play. And on the side of Maryville B, I mean, a lot of the pieces were there. We saw a really clean game too. Once they got Baron, game was done just like that, but they still need to put some of those pieces together, find a little bit more consistency across their solo lanes. But hey, those are the young guys on that roster. They're going to learn fast under that coaching staff. And this team's already proven that they're a terror in collegiate as well. And I think they're going to have some bad blood against Columbia, as I think we officially have a rivalry coming out between these guys with that 2-1 going over to Columbia.
I think so too, Cubby.
Yeah.
And, both these teams are still at the top of Infernal Group. I
Yes.
imagine with what we've seen today and with what we've seen for the previous 2 weeks, I imagine that's going to stay the same. I would be
I'm excited
super
for the rematch.
surprised. Oh, I'm so excited for the rematch. I'd be super surprised if either of these teams did not make playoffs with this form. Very, very close series from them. Super excited to see where these two end up going for the rest of it. But Cubby, it's been a pleasure casting with you, my friend. And it's been a pleasure watching these two teams. I had a great time. Shout out to producer Hyper tonight, too, holding it down with those replays with the upsurge, downsurge, all the stuff in the background. You're the best, Hyper. But with that, Cubby, any final words before we close out the stream tonight?
I had a very good time making pet predictions, drawing circles, doing cough drop plus unboxing bits. Always fun hopping in the booth with you, Smacks. And I think we're going to be doing this again later in the season, too. So it should be a good time then.
Absolutely. For all of you listening at home, we'll see you again next time in a few weeks' time. And I hope that you keep watching Maryville B and Rovex's Simps, because these two teams are on a tear. They are not to be trifled with in the rest of Upsurge Premier League Fall 2020. We'll see y'all next week on UPL. Have a good night.